Before starting the session, right, just a quick briefing that what we will going to learn as a part of this particular training, right? So guys, as we all know that this is a job oriented course, right? So when we talk about a job orientation, right, that the company nowadays are getting slightly more demanding in comparison to when the cloud was new in the market, right? People have their confined job boundaries, right? People are administrators, solution architect, data engineers, data solution architect, application architect, and Azure DevOps engineers. But nowadays, when you are looking towards the jobs and how the company approach towards any particular profile, it's kind of a mix and match. You feel like they are asking about the implementation knowledge. They are also asking for the solutioning of the architecture, and they also are looking for the people who can also help them in terms of their DevOps deployment with the help of the CI/CD pipeline. So as to meet that kind of the requirement, when what we see in the market right now, we are trying to cover most of the things which a particular job requires when it comes to any particular cloud engineer or a solution architect or Azure DevOps engineer, right? So as a part of this particular course, right, we're going to emphasize on the topics which are mostly you will find in the DevOps section or also in the solution architecting as well as in your administrator course, right? So when we talk about any particular cloud business, it starts with the Azure Active Directory, where any particular user, accessibility of the user, authentication, and the authorization will be managed, right? So in today's session, we're going to have a discussion on the on-premises and the Azure Active Directory and the Microsoft Entra ID, and why we required Azure Active Directory, and how we can design the solutioning, and how we can go ahead and manage security with the help of that. Apart from that, now on the screen, what you're looking at, that what are the other modules that we'll be covering as a part of this particular course. So we're going to emphasize, apart from the job application and the preparation, we will emphasizing on the deploying, managing the application and the compute and your storage resources. Now, when we talk about the computational requirement, when we host any particular web application, definitely you'll be hosting on top of a VM or on top of the app service plan. Probably it can be a container or a Kubernetes cluster. So all these applications, what we are bringing required a compute. Now, whatever I have just talked about so far about a VM, app service, container, instances, or your Kubernetes cluster, these are the ways of providing the compute to the application. Now, when we talk about computational need, definitely we also require a connectivity. So we need to have an understanding of the connectivity component, that how we can go ahead and create networking connectivity over here. And we need to have an understanding of your virtual network, connectivity, VNet pairing, VPN gateway, express route, and in what kind of the requirement we can go ahead and meet the requirements, whether my solution is hosted on the on-premises or on the cloud. Further, we're going to talk about your AKS requirement with the SQL PaaS databases, because when we talk about bringing any particular web application, it also required the connectivity with the databases, so that when we talk about 2-tier or a 3-tier architecture, we know that what are the components that we are connecting the things with. So we're going to have a discussion on that. Further, we're going to talk about your identity section. When we talk about the identity, one identity is with the help of the Azure Active Directory identity. Further, how we can design the solution on your security aspect, what authorization you would like to provide. Further, when we talk about network integration, service integration, we also need to create the identity for the services. So we have the option available for the system assign manage identity service principle, how we can go ahead and allow these services to communicate with one another. We're going to have a discussion on that. Further, we're going to have a must emphasize on the deployment using CI/CD pipeline. So we're going to talk about the DevOps section once we are done with the infrastructure discussion, that how we can go ahead and create our DevOps CI/CD pipeline, your repositories. And further, we're going to talk about your network security component, your network security group, application security group, your firewall security, your DDoS protection, how we can go ahead and manage that. And then we're going to emphasize on the security component for the data security aspect, where we're going to talk about how we can go ahead and manage the backups. If the disaster recovery has to be created, how we can go ahead and create your site replication, how to conduct the failover, and what all the other requirements that we have, like load balancing requirement using the traffic manager, distribution of the traffic, or the load balancing requirement for the application at layers 4 and the layer 7. And then we're going to have a discussion on the Azure front door and the CDN services. Once we are done with that, we're going to have a discussion that how we can go ahead and monitoring this particular component. So when we talk about monitoring the component, we need to be aware about monitoring services. We're going to have a discussion on log analytics workspace, application insight, network watcher service, your Microsoft Defender for cloud, and your Azure Sentinel. That what are these services and how we can go ahead and capture the logs or bring our security posture on the basis of that. Then we're going to emphasize on the deployment of multi-container application using your CI/CD pipelines and how we can go ahead and manage your self-hosted agent, Microsoft hosted agent, how we can go ahead and utilize the GitHub Actions, and how to create multi-staging pipeline for the deployments. And then we're going to have a further discussion about blue-green deployment, A/B testing, and we're going to talk about that how we can go ahead and bring the testing component like your functional testing using the Selenium node, or that let's say if we need to require a load testing, or if we are running a DevOps CI/CD pipeline, how we can identify whether our code have any vulnerabilities or not using the static code analysis, and further what are the different kind of the scans that we can utilize. So just a quick overview, guys, that what we will be covering as a part of this particular course. Any questions, any queries, guys? Anything that, because guys, today is the first session, so I give you some time to settle down. If you have any particular queries, you can bring it on. If you have any particular confusion related to the things that you are not aware of before coming into this particular training, feel free to ask that, guys. So I'm going to put first 10 minutes for the quick Q&A, guys. Any questions, any queries? Yes, no, maybe, guys. All good? Adarsh, Aditya?
Nothing at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What about the rest of the participants, guys? Anand? Guys, first rule of the training, don't be hesitant. Second rule of the training, guys, be deliberate asking the questions. Be more interactive. Do not keep your queries to yourself. Don't be hesitant. And the another thing, try to ask the question as a logical point. If you feel like that particular question is related with that particular topic, at the same point of time, you can bring it on. Not a problem, guys. Are we good so far? Shall we start?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right, guys. Now, talking about the Azure Active Directory, right? So we have all this particular modules schedule. I'm going to approach the modules the way we will going to utilize that knowledge in upcoming modules. For an example, AD is something that is going to come repetitively. So it's kind of a very important topic when it comes to starting or beginning any particular course. Another thing, your networking component. Because let's say if you're creating a Kubernetes cluster, you're designing any particular networking security aspect, right? You need to have an understanding of the networking, right? So these two topics I'm going to cover in a very beginning. The reason being, once you understand all these components, the rest of the component will be much easier to understand. I hope this is making sense to everyone.
Yes,
Guys,
yes.
all good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Let's get started then. Okay, guys. Now, when we talk about Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID, right? The first question comes into the market, or let's say first question comes in the mind that why even Azure? See, guys, AD is not a new concept, right? We are utilizing Active Directory from past many years. What happened, guys, when any particular user gets hired or a person gets hired in any particular company? What happened on the day one, guys? Let's say you are starting a company, okay? Let's say there is a new project coming in your way. So what you will going to design on the very beginning associated with that particular project?
User creation will be
User creation, right?
yes.
Because at the end of the day, who will be managing those? There will be some people who will be the billing administrator, purchasing the subscription. There will be few people who will be managing the components like your network, your compute, right? So accordingly, you will going to decide the role, but whom you will be assigning the role? To the users, to the services, right? Now, my question is, if we are already creating the resources on the on-premises and managing it with the help of the Active Directory components, right? First question is, why we required Azure Active Directory, guys? If we are already creating the component and managing the things on the on-premises, why even we required Azure Active Directory? Quickly, guys.
To manage many resources at the same time.
Okay,
Implement
so
policies.
okay, one quick question. Are we not doing it already on the on-premises, managing many resources at the same time? What do you think, guys?
I think it is to leverage the power of the cloud.
Your voice is coming slightly feeble. Can you come closer to the mic?
I said using Entra IDs to leverage the power of the cloud.
Power of the cloud. Okay. What are those powers?
Or cloud applications.
Cloud
Uh,
applications. So what I'm
services.
saying that application can be hosted on the on-premises. What is special about cloud application?
The
Improve
basic thing is
security.
the scalability and elasticity. And secondly,
Scalability and elasticity. Okay. Here's the
yes,
thing, guys. Currently, we
because
are talking with respect to the users. Mind it over here, right? Now,
okay.
we'll talk about the application in a while. Okay. We understand the elasticity component. Now, when we say elasticity, let's say I'm creating a virtual machine on the on-premises. See, guys, this is a virtual machine. This is not a physical machine I'm talking about. It is on the on-premises, right? Now, can I not resize that machine on the on-premises, guys? It's a virtual machine.
You're right. We can.
I can do that, right? So the
We can.
elasticity, up to some extent, we can also achieve on the on-premises, right? Yes or no?
Maybe underlying infrastructure is
Centralized
created in
authentication.
it.
Underlining infrastructure. Okay.
Yeah, it's created and managed by Azure, and as
With
it's
respect to the users, I understand that if we need to give more flexibility to the users, for example, remote, or if we have global users, because with on-premises, I believe you need to give them a VPN. So this is my understanding with respect to the users, to give more flexibility to the users to connect to the infrastructure and do their work, do their
So my
job.
question is that VPN, how we know that VPN is hosted on the cloud or it is on the on-premises? VPN can be anywhere. If you are connecting it, the only requirement is connect to the remote location. I can connect to the remote location with the help of the on-premises. The only thing I require a VPN gateway. It can be hosted on a physical machine or a virtual machine on the on-premises itself. Yes or no, guys?
Okay.
It's a VPN.
Yeah.
How I know it is hosted on the Azure AWS or the GCP? It can be hosted on the on-premises data center I'm connecting to. What we require, a public IP component. I can connect from any part of the world. You got the point, right?
Yeah.
All of us? See, guys, when we talk about a cloud solutioning, right, the purpose is not that bring everything on the cloud. First of all, we need to also understand why we are even doing this. Everybody's saying just go ahead and utilize the cloud. No, that's not the reason, guys. We need to understand the requirement. Because you may end up working with the organization where you may work in a hybrid model, that there are certain components still running on the on-premises. Company may have their security compliance requirement. They don't want to compromise with the hypervisor level security. They say that, okay, there are certain component, I cannot trust cloud business on top of it. So what we will do, we will going to run it from the on-premises. You got the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So guys, always remember, it can be hybrid. Maybe the company is running 100% on the cloud, but there is no guarantee to that. Now, coming back to the user section. My question was that organizations are running their business from last many years on the on-premises, right? Using Active Directory. We are creating the users, we are assigning the roles, we are managing them thoroughly on the on-premises from many years. So when we talk about Azure Active Directory, what are those features, components that I can think of that can be beneficial for the organization? Because see, guys, security is also managed in the on-premises as well. So if somebody says that, okay, on cloud, you will create highly secure solution. No, guys, that can be created on the on-premises. Because when you say cloud, somebody is hosting it in the data center in the background, right? Maybe it is not your data center, but it is a cloud data center in the background. You got the point, right? All of us?
Yeah.
Anybody has any single doubt, guys? Okay. Now, guys, let's go deeper. This is very high level, right? Let's go further. Now, what exactly we required when we go ahead and create user? So what your organization does, that they will have a Windows Server 2016, 2019, 2022. First of all, they will create that machine as a domain controller. Have you heard this term, guys? People who are not familiar with the AD, right? So organization have a domain controller, and with the help of that, they are trying to control everything which is on that domain.
Right.
Not outside the domain, something which is the part of that particular domain. It can be user, it can be group of resources, it can be many policies they are trying to manage, maybe patching, updating, a lot of things that can be governed with the help of that. Now, what we need to create a domain controller. So in your Windows Server, we have a service called ADDS.
Yes.
So that is your Active Directory
Directory.
domain
Domain.
services.
Yeah.
So what happened that in your Active Directory domain services, you need to enable that particular feature. It is not enabled by default. And the moment you enable this particular feature, when you create a user, that user belongs to a particular domain. For an example, my name is Rishabh. Let's say if tomorrow I end up working with Microsoft, my ID will be rishabh@microsoft.com, right?
Yeah.
So similarly, any user that any organization will be creating, that will be the part of that particular domain so that it can be managed. So for that, they need to have a domain. So what they do, they promote a machine on a domain controller. They purchase a domain from a domain provider. So whatever organization that you are seeing nowadays, they have purchased that particular domain from any domain provider like GoDaddy, Easy Domain. So what your domain provider does, it will verify your information and it will keep that information in the record that this particular person is entitled to use that particular domain. Is this making sense, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you purchase a cell phone number, right? That number is something which is associated with you. Maybe the social security number or your PAN or probably your Aadhaar is associated with that, right? And in UK, it will be a VAT ID. So on the basis of that, they will identify that this is the unique identifier for this particular user. Similarly, your domain provider will keep that information, right? Now, you can delegate that responsibility by giving that billing administrator role to somebody who is going to manage that particular domain. But on the machine, if you need to create users, group of user, you require that particular domain and you will promote that machine on that particular domain. Now, what happened when you do that? In the background, it create a folder called ntds.dit. What is ntds.dit, guys? New technology, domain, services, dot directory,
Information tree.
information tree. So what happened that this is nothing but it is a kind of the database in the background which holds the username and the credentials associated with that. For an example, I'm being a user, my ID and the credential associated of that ID need to be stored somewhere. And that's where your ntds.dit folder comes into the picture where the credentials will be stored. Now, guys, I have a question for you. Let's say we all are AD administrator for a while. Okay. Our job is to manage all the component from the AD side. So guys, do you think that you should be able to see the credentials of any user whom you are assigning the role or creating any particular user?
No.
What do you think, guys? What about the rest of the participants? Are we following the conversation, guys? All of us?
No, that's a security risk. So
That's a
you're
security
not,
risk, right?
yeah.
Maybe I'm creating a credential for the CEO of the organization. It doesn't
Right.
mean that I'm the administrator. I should look into the credential of the CEO. Right? And it's an integrity issue. Even the person is not the CEO, you can't see that particular credential. Why? Because in the background, it will be utilizing hash encryption.
Exactly.
Clear? So it will be using hash encryption over here. Now, anything on the on-premises is an object. How your on-premises work, guys? It's an object, right? Now, a user is also an object. Any resource which is joined on that particular domain is also an object, right? Any group that you have created of the users or of the resources, that is also treated as an object. So everything is an object. Now, let's take an example, guys. When we log in on the machine, let's say there is a domain joined machine, there is a user who is also on domain, and the person logs in inside the machine. Now there is a communication happening between two components. One is a user, another is a service, right? Now let's assume a user has given a print command, right? I'm a user, I logged in into the machine, I was able to communicate with the service. Now I'm giving the print command, and on the basis of that, now my machine is going to communicate with the printer. Now the communication is happening between two services. Guys, are we following this? Now, whenever this
Right.
communication happens, right, that communication always happen on a protocol. I'll give you an example, guys. You heard the terminology networking protocol, guys? TCP, HTTP,
TCP,
HTTPS, right? We
Yes.
heard it.
Yeah.
Yes.
UDP.
Now,
Yeah.
let me ask this thing, guys. Whether it is UDP, ICMP protocol, whatever protocol that we are having, right? Why we require a protocol? Because see, let's say you go ahead and hit a URL. You are requiring HTTP or HTTPS protocol. But what I am asking, why we need a protocol?
So the service should follow the rules and policies and
Standards.
Yeah, the standards. Yeah.
Standards, right? So let's say if we are creating any communication, we need to be abide with certain guidelines, right? Let's say you are going to the airport for the international flight, right? So I need to follow the guidelines that before boarding the flight, I should have my passport, my visa ready. I should have my COVID vaccination certificate available, right? And accordingly, I need to follow the guidelines. Another guideline, I need to go through the security check. Until then, I'm not qualified to sit in the plane. Clear? In the similar manner, when any particular communication is start, there are certain rules and regulations that we will be following, whether it's a layer 4 of the OSI, layer 7 of the OSI model, or whether it is on premises, right? So over here in the on premises, we utilize LDAP. What is LDAP, guys?
Lightweight
Directory Access Protocol.
Right. Lightweight directory access protocol. And further, when we talk about authentication and the authorization, you must have heard about Kerberos, NTLM.
Right.
And further, when we talk about grouping of the resources, right, you end up using GPOs, you end up creating OUs, right? And then whenever you are trying to manage the component, you have something called FSMO. That is your flexible
Flexible single
master,
operating,
right?
operating rules. Yeah.
Flexible single master operations that you will be able to conduct. And then you have 5 kinds of masters where you have 2 forest wide, we have 3 domain wide, like schema naming master, domain naming master, and then you have infrastructure master, RID master, PDC emulator, right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going deeper in the on-premises, guys, because we are here to learn cloud, right? Why I gave this introduction over here about the on-premises? Because when we are using the things on the cloud, we need to be aware what we are replacing the things with. Are you getting my point?
Right.
In cloud, everything will be worked over the HTTP and HTTPS. There is no LDAP, guys. Cloud always work over 2 kind of the protocols. When it comes to the AD, it will be HTTP or HTTPS, nothing else. Clear? So over here, LDAP is gone. Now the question is, why Azure? Now guys, think about it, that let's say this is your domain controller and there are 10,000 users that your organization has created on this domain controller. Let's assume this is one of the site in United States. Let's say you are working in Seattle. This is your Seattle domain controller and there are 10,000 employees working in that particular organization from the Seattle location. Now let's assume this domain controller goes down.
High availability.
What will be the impact in the organization, guys?
Right.
Outage.
Outage? Okay. Let's say that outage lasted for 4 hours. What is the impact now? None of the project made any progress on that particular day. Organization is losing in millions right now.
Right. Financial loss.
Right? Nobody able to log in, neither any particular user, nothing has happened on that day, guys. Right? People are just waiting and, waiting for this particular system to come up. Now, what can possibly cause this particular outage? Now, let's say you are using an on-premises physical machine or a virtual machine, because in the on-premises, you only have 2 choices, right? Either it is a physical machine, either it will be a hypervisor or VMware virtual machine, right? Now, the thing is, as a part of the business, over the period of the time, you need to take care of certain activities. For an example, if you are using Windows Server 16 and 19, you may need to upgrade the OS. Yeah. You may need to patch the OS, right? And this is something that you need to do random recurrence, right? There is a recurrence in this particular thing, right? Every month, you need to come back and you need to patch those servers. Over the period of the time when the user will be more, you may want to enhance the performance of the machine. You may want to resize the machine as well, physically. Let's say previously my machine is using 16 GB RAM. Maybe the amount of the things that I have kept into, I may require 32 GB. Maybe I require 64 GB RAM over the period of time. Maybe the storage capacity has to be increased. I need more disk. So what I'm doing now, one is your platform level change, OS level change, maybe certain application level change, which can cause the downtime. Another problem, your hardware level change that you have. Further, your connectivity changes, right? When you are connecting to data center, maybe you started with the fiber cable, which did not have the enough bandwidth because previously you were not getting that much of the traffic. Right now, the traffic has been increased. You required more bandwidth now. You required high-end cables. So that can also cause the downtime. What I'm saying is that downtime is not something that you want to, but you end up going in a situation where you have to deal with those downtimes because you want to enhance certain components, right? So your cost is getting increased over the period of the time, and downtime is also can impact the business. So how you can come out from that situation, guys?
High availability.
High availability. So can I say you have to invest more money in order to have another server, which is your
Another
additional domain
complete data
controller,
center. Yeah,
right?
another
And you
complete
want
data center.
this to conduct the failover if your
Yeah.
first VM goes down. Now, on the other hand, guys, I need to invest double, right? Isn't it?
Yeah.
To come out from this
Right.
situation. Okay.
Yeah.
And the another thing is I'm increasing additional overhead. Previously, maybe I required only 10 employees. Now I may require 15.
Right.
Right. So my operational cost is also getting increased over the period of time, right? It's not just the infrastructure cost, or it's not just the operating licensing cost, because your operating system license is also going double.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. And this I'm doing in the same region. What if the regional level outage is happening?
Right.
And
Some
may require
users.
this in the another location as well. Now it has tripled my investment,
Exactly.
right? And also over there as well, I required high availability. Now I'm talking about increase in the cost 4 times, guys.
Right.
Clear? So
Makes
that is the reason Azure Active Directory, guys. Why? We are not managing any hardware component. Azure is managing, so we are not responsible for the scalability of that component. Second thing, neither we need to worry about any patching of the operating system. It is Azure, so Microsoft is responsible for that. So what we did, when you guys throw a party and invite the guest, and you have too many guests to handle, what you do? You give that
You
responsibility to somebody else. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving this particular responsibility to the catering service. I have 500 guests to handle. I cannot prepare that much amount of the food at my home, because if I do, I need to prepare a lot of things and I need to manage a lot of things. Clear? Similarly, this is what we are doing in terms of the Azure Active Directory, that we have handed over that patching maintenance activity to Microsoft. We are emphasizing moreover more productive work, managing the user. You got the point, right?
Right.
Another thing is in tenant, right? So let's talk about tenant first, then we'll discuss further what exactly a tenant. So when we talk about Microsoft Entra ID, Microsoft Entra ID, previous name was Azure Active Directory, has a concept of the tenant. Now, what is a tenant, guys?
Is it like a domain?
Who rent the infrastructure or services in the cloud? So I'm the tenant, so I'm paying for that services. So I'm renting in something in the cloud.
You have rented out this particular service from the Microsoft, right?
Right.
Now, what it provides?
Services.
What kind of the services?
For same server, we
Like
can
resources.
divide it for multiple clients.
Same
Yeah,
server we can
so
apply.
services, if we say it can be in terms of the infrastructure as a service, so you can provide the infrastructure like
Nothing. We are, see, this is not a concept of the infrastructure as a service, guys. If that would have been the case, they would have asked you to select the size of the machine, right?
Yeah.
We are not selecting any size.
No, in the tenant, I understand it in a very simple way. It provides us the resources, and then we can also manage and organize the resources under that tenant. That resources can be anything.
One correction. When we talk about resources, one correction in that.
Yeah.
Resources are managed by subscription, never by tenant.
Never by. So then subscriptions are managed by tenant?
You can say that by user. Tenant is available only to manage your identity. Whether it's a user, whether it is a service, whether it is an application identity, that is another change. Because in the on-premises, whether it is a user, whether it is a resource, everything is an object.
Right.
But here, when we talk about users, we manage users through the Azure Active Directory or tenant or Microsoft Entra ID. But when it comes to the resources, where we create resources inside the subscription, one tenant can have multiple subscription. Making sense? All of us?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Because another question I have, can I create a tenant without a subscription?
No.
No.
Are you sure? Okay, let's keep it in this way, guys. Okay. Who is going to purchase the subscription?
The tenant.
tenant, how a tenant can purchase subscription? I mean, a person will be purchasing the subscription, right? There will be a user, a billing
yes,
administrator, right?
Yes. A user is
Okay.
going to buy the subscription. Yeah.
So if user is going to purchase a subscription, where is that user created?
Azure Entra ID.
In tenant. So can I say
Tenant.
a user came first, then a subscription?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So if the user came before then the subscription, how we can say that the subscription is helping tenant to run, because tenant is already existed, isn't it? Only then there is a user that you will be able to create, and only then you can go ahead and purchase the subscription, right? So understand the logic here. Okay, you don't have to cram anything that okay, tenant is there, subscription is there. No, it's logical, guys. Who is purchasing the subscription? A user. Where is the user? In the tenant. So it means my tenant existed way before I have purchased a subscription, because I have created a user, I have assigned the role as a billing administrator, global administrator, whatever users are doing, and then I bought the subscription so that these users can manage those resources that I'm going to create inside the subscription. Making sense, guys?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
Is it possible to
Mhm.
kind of represent this in the diagram?
I'm doing
Just-
it right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that. Don't worry. Okay. We are in a discussion of the tenant at the moment, right? So if you understand it logically, I will just continue to create like that. Okay. First, we are going to discuss about the tenant understanding, right? All right, guys. Now, when we talk about tenant, right? So as I mentioned, tenant can help us managing multiple subscription, and who are managing that? A user,
Users.
right? So even if you don't have a subscription, right? You have tenant, and all your users will be created in your tenant only, right? Now, what I mentioned about the tenant, what is a tenant? It's an isolation, guys. Isolation means that when you rent out any particular environment or any particular house, you are the temporary owner of that particular house, right? By the time you are paying is your privacy, your isolation is there, right? In that particular house.
Right, correct.
In the similar way, why we bought this particular tenant? Because I would like to create some set of the users over here, which will be managing certain subscription for certain projects. Clear? So over here, isolation is there. Now, as I mentioned that you can have multiple subscription, right? So let's assume that these stars are multiple subscription, depending on multiple projects that you have a dev subscription, right? You have a QA environment that you are creating. So you purchase a subscription for the QA environment that you will be creating over here. Then you have a UAT. What is UAT environment?
User acceptance testing.
User acceptance testing. What is QA? Quality assurance testing, right?
Quality
And
assurance.
then you have a production environment,
Production.
right? Before the things will be going into the production, right? Now,
Right.
accordingly, in Azure, you have a concept of the resource group, right?
Yeah.
What is a resource group, guys?
In which we
Uh,
can
A grouping of
organize
the
the
resources.
resources.
Clubbing
Absolutely.
different resources together.
Grouping of the resources. Absolutely, guys. See, guys, let's say I need to create 20 machines, right? Now, those 20 machines I'm creating for the development environment. Maybe there are certain components, but how I know that which particular machine will be the part of which particular project or particular environment, or what is the purpose of that particular virtual machine? Let's say I'm creating a front-end virtual machine. I'm creating a back-end virtual machine. I'm creating a middle tier virtual machine, right? In my 3-tier architecture.
बेटा मेरी क्लास चल रही.
Sorry.
Sorry,
All
Rishabh.
right.
Yeah.
Your kid came. No problem. All right, guys. So over here, you can have your certain groups where you may want to group them on the basis of the resources that you created, right? Let's say a VM, probably there are certain resource group that you are isolating on the basis of the databases over here, right? And accordingly, you will group them together, right? So what are these? These we are mentioning as a resources, guys, right? What are resources? Your VM is a resource, your network is a resource, your database is a resource.
Database is a resource.
What is this? This is a resource group, right? Let's call it RG, resource group. Clear? And what we have over here, these are subscriptions, right? So one subscription can only belongs to one tenant at a time. It cannot belong more than one. Clear?
It cannot belong to more than one tenant, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Can
the
you
thing
please
is,
explain the tenant concept once again?
okay, so tenant is an isolation, right? What we talked about a tenant? Tenant is an isolation, right? Why we utilize tenant? What we do over here? We create users, group of users, right? So all these things, why we are doing it? Because we would like to manage the users, right? Now let's go deeper. Okay. Now every tenant will have a unique tenant ID, right? Let me show you guys. So how I logged in over here? By going into portal.azure.com. Clear, guys? So I logged in into portal.azure.com, and in portal.azure.com, I have Microsoft Entra ID. So if I click on Microsoft Entra ID, I'm going to see my tenant, right? So my tenant by default have a default directory. So what is a directory, guys? Coming back to your on-premises discussion. You remember, guys, we need to enable the service called Active Directory Domain Services.
Yes.
Before promoting the machine on a domain. Why we used to do that? Because if we are creating user in the on-premises, it will be the part of your Active Directory. Clear? So over here in Azure, we by default have a default directory where we are able to create these users, group of users, right? So I don't need to promote the machine. I don't need to install anything. It is by default there. I can just simply start with creating the user. Another benefit, guys. Clear? No need to worry about the installation of that particular service. You can just go ahead and directly able to create a user. So what is a tenant? Tenant is nothing, it's an isolation. Inside that isolation, you are entitled to create users, group of users, and where we are creating it in the default directory, which is by default associated with your tenant. Clear, guys?
This tenant means it is not intra directly.
This tenant means not, sorry, I didn't get it.
I-
Can you
what I'm
repeat it,
saying,
please?
You are creating user here.
Yes,
So is it intra directly?
it is Active Directory. Intra directory, I didn't get it. You said intra directory?
It is same.
Using
intra directory Active Directory are same.
Okay, yeah.
But cloud we call it
Right,
intra
right.
directory.
So when we say Microsoft Cloud Intra ID, right? Or if I'm saying it right, is basically I'm targeting the tenant, right? The moment I click over here, you can see the name of the tenant and the tenant ID associated with it. You see that? So how this particular, and Microsoft has given me a primary domain. I have not purchased this domain from anywhere. Microsoft has given me, right? But let's say if you need to run an organization, sorry.
Can I have a question?
Go
Can
ahead,
we
please.
simply say that the tenant is basically like a domain, what we have on
No,
premises?
no.
No? Okay.
Because in the tenant, you can bring more than one particular domain, which is not the case with your on-premises.
Right. Okay.
That is the reason
Okay.
I have not said that, right?
Okay.
Because it is not an apple to apple comparison. You have another
Okay.
apple, which is a bigger, way advanced. So it is not a same comparison. Clear? So over here,
Rishabh, sorry, I have actually one doubt here. On-prem Active Directory, we have multiple OUs, right? So where we can, organize our users. So is that possible in
create a group.
Microsoft? Yeah.
You already have a group option. Create a group of the users. Assign whatever role that you would like to assign. The way you do on your OUs. Not a problem.
Okay.
See, let me ask this thing. If I have 5 network administrator, what is the right approach? Creating 5 user and individually assigning a network administrator role, or should I create a group of network administrator and move that user into that group and assign the role directly to the group?
Yeah, so create the group and then assign
it to the group. Second option, right? So similarly, when we talk about creating a user, right? So let's say I'm going back to the section. I'm going into the user. In the user section, you can create the user, you can do the profiling associated with the user, right? But before doing that, you required your domain, isn't it? Because this is the default domain, right? This is given by Microsoft by to whom? So let's say I'm the first user. First user means I'm the one who is going to start the things. So by default, I'm a global administrator. First user will be default, and that email address of that particular user will be given as a primary domain. You can see right now what they did. They removed the special characters and gave a domain on Microsoft.com.
Yeah.
Clear? So on Microsoft.com is a Microsoft default domain that Microsoft has given, and it's a drop down. It means you can use more than one domain. So if I need to bring any particular domain, let's say I have purchased that particular domain from GoDaddy or from Easy Domain, what I can do, I have this particular option for custom domain, right?
Yeah.
So if I want my own choice of the domain, I can come over here in the custom domain. Let's say I have purchased pdc.com. Let's assume for a while, okay? I'm just selecting a random name. I have not purchased it, but I'm saying that I'm just going to say pdc.com and I would like to use this particular domain over here. So what Microsoft will do? They would like to verify, are you the owner of that domain? Have you purchased that particular domain or not? Okay. So the moment I'm going to click on add, Microsoft is saying fail to add a domain. Why? Because the moment I did this over here, Microsoft is trying to check whether the domain provider have the information of the text and the MX record of this particular user, which is associated with this domain. Now, let me give you a simpler terminology, guys. When you purchase your cell phone number, right? How somebody know that this number belongs to you? If somebody need to verify.
They will check at the back of database to verify.
I will just go ahead and simply send an email to the provider whether this particular number belongs to your company or not, or whether it's a verified user. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Let's say I'm in the police, right? There is a criminal case has been filed. And I would like to know this is something which is a legitimate person or it is somebody else who is speaking in behalf of somebody else, right? So what police verification will do? They will send that particular email to the provider authority and they will try to check, okay, who is the number associated with? Let's say a vehicle has been stolen, or let's say there is an accident has happened. How you know who is the owner of that car? You will check the license plate. The car is registered on which particular person's number so that you can identify who has committed the crime. Make sense? Similarly, because nobody else can use that car apart from that, right? Similarly, in the domain world, provider has to check before somebody can start using the domain, whether it belongs to them or not. Why it has failed? Because I have not purchased any domain with pdc.com. So the request from the Azure went to all the DNS provider very quickly and check whether this particular user is associated as a owner or a billing administrator of this particular domain. And from everywhere it has failed because they do not find any text and the MX record associated with me. What is text record, guys? Whenever any particular user has been created in your on-premises domain, it will have the identification name as text record. MX record, is there any mailbox associated with it? Is a mailbox record. Making sense, guys?
Okay. Yeah.
Mailbox record, like, what could be the example?
Your Office 365 mailbox, whether you have a domain inbox associated with you or not.
Okay, that email address, if
Absolutely, because where they will going to see the invoices and everything, right? When I'm going to purchase it, it is going to come on your email address. So if I'm going to purchase a domain, they will say, okay, what organization domain you want? Do you have any particular mailbox data on which we can go ahead and approve this or verify this particular thing that you are the legitimate user? I cannot wake up in the morning and just go ahead and purchase a domain right away. No, they require certain information. You got the point?
Yeah,
Right?
Rishabh, I have one doubt actually. Suppose I'm working in one organization, they provide me one email format. Maybe it is @pwc.com or maybe @pwccontractor.com. So
Got
is
it.
that possible in Azure if we move to the
say pwc.com is the domain purchased by somebody from that organization, right? That person had the text record and the MX record associated with it. Let's call that person as a owner of that domain. Okay. Now, if I'm a owner of that domain and if I'm running my business in 50 country, I cannot go in each and every location and I will verify the domain, right? I need to delegate that responsibility to somebody, right? What I will do, I will create some users and I will assign the role as a billing administrator. Right? And my DNS provider will be aware about it. That, okay, these are authorized, right? Just like I cannot go ahead and open McDonald's, right? I need to take the franchisee, right? I need to get the approval from the authority that, okay, I can use this particular name in my country if I'm going to open that business. Similarly, in any particular site, there will be users who will be registered as a billing administrator of that particular domain. Make sense? So that they can verify that particular domain on behalf of the owner. You got the point? Yeah. So this is what verification process does, that the moment you will go ahead and verify your domain, it will check that are you registered as a domain owner or a billing administrator of that particular domain. Only then you will be able to use it. Otherwise you can't.
Yeah,
Clear?
right.
Once
Yeah.
you are able to verify, it will just show up like any domain which is verified over here. You see, guys, these domains are verified and available. It means that Microsoft has associated, they have verified. But let's say if you are not the one who's supposed to do that, it will show unverified. You can't use that domain until it is fully verified. Clear?
Right.
That is the reason, guys, you cannot use a vehicle until there is a nameplate or number plate is there. Clear? Because that is the identification that who is the owner of that particular vehicle. Clear, guys? You cannot use a bank account until the account verification is not done, because they don't know whom they are sending money to. Clear? So whenever you talk about identification, right, you can't use the service until you are successfully verified. Clear, guys?
Right.
Right? Okay. Coming back. Now, once your domain has been verified, it will be just like any other domain in Azure, and you can create a user on that particular domain. You can see it, guys. There is a drop down, right? So once the domain is registered, you can use it. Now, let's say my organization has 2 domains. It can happen, right? Have you heard about TCS and TBS, Tata Consultancy Services and Tata Business Services?
Yes.
Tata
Even,
Automobile, third organization, right?
Yeah, even IBM and GBM, they have.
Correct.
Yeah.
So basically, organization may have a requirement of a second domain, maybe for the secondary client or maybe a second business. They can also have that domain in the different tenant. They may have a requirement of multiple domain in the same tenant. Clear? Now, how that organization want to deal with whether they require tenant level isolation or not, or whether they would like to use this multiple domain in the same domain, Azure will not stop them. But in the on-premises, if you have a domain controller, can that domain controller have more than one domain?
No.
The answer is no, you can't.
No.
So that's the beauty of the cloud, guys. We are talking about the scalability and flexibility over here. You got the point?
Please can you please confirm? I have a question. As you said, I know that in on-premises Active Directory, you cannot not have multiple domains under one domain. As you said that in Azure doesn't stop that. So this means that under one tenant, can we handle multiple domains and multiple Entra IDs?
Yes.
Okay.
Rishabh, on-prem we have multi-forest. What is that multi-forest?
Multi-forest is nothing. See, when we talk about multi-forest, we have multiple domain controller and we create trust in between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is not a concept. See, what you are doing is, let's say, I'll give you an example. You heard about the terminology called European Union, right? We spend euros in Europe, right?
Yeah.
Until this UK came out from the Brexit, right? They said that, okay, I'm not going to follow that model. But if you go to Europe, right? And if I'm in Spain and if I'm driving to, let's say, Italy, right? I don't need to worry about the currency conversion over there. I can spend euro in both the sections, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So what we have that these two countries trust on each other. That there are certain things that if I will apply for a visa, for Schengen visa, right? I'll automatically get the accessibility to certain other countries as well that I can go for traveling. Clear? So let's say I need to create such kind of a mechanism among the domain. Let's say my user is created on xyz.com, but I want this user should be identified in the other domain as well in abc.com. So I need to create a trust so that that domain can identify this particular person and do not stop it logging to certain applications. You got the point? Have you heard about federation services, guys?
Yes.
How many of us are using Paytm, Google Pay, Amazon? All of us, right? Yes or no? Okay,
Yes,
a basic
yes.
example, guys. Have you applied job with the LinkedIn account to some other company domain?
Many times.
Many times. So don't you think there is a trust between LinkedIn.com and that particular company domain, guys? That it is allowing you to authenticate in that particular domain.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
it asks to add the credentials for LinkedIn and it accepts that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
authenticated with Google account many times.
Yeah.
With
you're
Facebook
right.
account many times, right? So basically what it is a federation services. On the on-premises, we mentioned trust authentication. Clear? So that is a separate concept, guys. That required a different understanding. We'll talk about it when we required it. Yep.
Just a question, please. Sorry. Will we do any lab for
Yes,
where
yes,
we
we
can
will
do
do
the
that.
multi-domain? Like I want to see that multiple ADs and
No,
enter
see,
IDs under one tenant.
hold it.
That's
No, See, multiple Entra IDs. So basically we need to purchase that domain. So for the lab, why you need to spend money? Microsoft is giving you $200 for free, right? Why you have to do that? You have your own domain, right? Let's say you already Microsoft has given you one domain for the practice purpose. Why you have to purchase?
Yeah. No, I just want to see how do we do that. So
that I will show you that how we can go ahead and bring it, right? So what I'm saying is, okay, you don't require a lab for that. Let me tell you why. Because do I need to do anything for the verification? Is it my job to verify, guys? Whose job it is? Microsoft, right? So let's say if I'm bringing any particular domain in the custom domain section, I don't require a lab. I will just go to the domain provider, I will purchase and I will configure here. You got the point? For an example, if I will go to custom domain over here, okay, we will do labs for AD sync service, that how to bring the users from the on-premises to the cloud. We will go ahead and create a domain control and we will bring the users, right? Because that will be a company use case. Company will ask you, right? That is so we will do all the use cases, but verification of the domain is not your job and my job, right? Organization is already running, right? They will purchase that particular domain and it will verify over here. You got the point?
But again, one question is there. For example, if we will purchase 3, 4, 5 domains, can we create trust between them?
You don't have to. You can directly utilize that particular custom domain in the same tenant. Why you create trust? So that people can log in. Here it is already there. That service, we call it federation, right? Something which is already there. You don't need to re-engineer, right? I will go and purchase a new car. I will not create a new car from the scratch, right?
Yeah. So it means when we are creating new domains, it is under the federation.
No, that is not the case. We'll talk about it. Okay. That story is slightly more bigger what you're thinking right now. See, understand. First of all, why organization purchase 2 domain? Because they want to maintain isolation, right?
Yeah.
If they don't want to maintain the isolation, the second domain is not even needed.
Right.
What do you think, guys? Do we all agree to this?
Yes.
Sajid, is this making the...
Yes. Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense, right? So the thing is, any organization going more than one particular domain, they have two kind of the requirement. One, either this particular client is altogether a separate ball game. Let's say one is a domain client for banking firm, another is a healthcare firm. They do not want to communicate with one another at all. That is the reason I required that separation. Or what I will do, I can have a separation altogether in a different tenant, right? Or I will create a B2C tenant. B2C tenant means maybe these are the consumers. These are not the employees who will be authenticating. Clear? There are requirements like that. But the thing is, if I need to create a federation, the federation things only come into the picture if I want a secondary multi-factor authentication server. Okay, I'll give you an example. Guys, previously, whenever we used to do the payments, right? What we used to do, we used to log into our banking domains, right? And we used to approve that particular payment. This is what we used to purchase any particular item. But the thing is, if you are frequently accessing your bank account on a public internet on daily basis, the chances of the hacking of the account will increase, isn't it?
Very common, yeah.
Guys, do we all agree? All of us?
Yes.
Guys, I'm only hearing few voices and 33 participants, guys.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, guys, if I'm frequently accessing it on public domain, what they came up with the idea of a federated domain. What they do that, okay, I'm going to use another domain and I will do that. I will use that particular domain only for conducting multi-factor authentication. Okay. Now, either they create a federated domain or they purchase it from third party. So let's say I trust Google security. I will allow my user to authenticate through the Google account. It means that if your Google account have a trust between your company domain and the google.com, a user can log in. So let's say you are using hsbc.com and you are using a Google Pay app. Okay. So when you configure that account, what information it asks? To do the verification.
Credentials.
Banking name. What is the bank? Probably your account name. Third information, probably the IFSC code. Or if it is an international bank, it will may ask for your
mobile number.
What we call that SWIFT number for the international transaction, right? And once they will be able to verify, only then you will be able to do the transaction using the Google app or any particular app that you have, PayPal app or Amazon app. You got the point? So why they want that information? So that they can create a trust. Clear? So coming back to the previous question or the initial question, that can I use this particular domain? If the verification went successful, the answer is yes. If not verified, you cannot. Doesn't matter whether these are in the same tenant. You got the point? Sajid,
Right.
are we clear with this particular point? That was your question, right?
Yes, okay.
It means I'm not clear, it's okay. There is no force, right? If it is not clear, you can say no. There is no enforcement that you have to say yes. So what I'm saying is, if you're purchasing two domain, have we verified these two against each other? The answer is no. These are two separate requirements. I'm creating a two separate user on two different
That is
domains,
very
right?
clear.
Yeah.
So if you are purchasing multiple domains, those are separately and isolated thing.
Isolated thing. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So tenant will not, I would say, give you the confirmation whether it will be a federated. Federation you have to create separately. That let's say I have my web application. In the web application, I have allowed user to log in with the help of a particular domain, right? So when you register your application, it gives you that option whether you would like to allow single tenant or multi-tenant over here. Clear? So when you register any particular application, right, it gives you that option, whether a single tenant or a multi-tenant, or whether you would like to allow them. So that is the application authentication. That is altogether a separate ballgame. We'll talk about it. Because before that, to design, we need that particular application to be registered in the Azure AD. Okay, so we are not doing any registration. This will only happen if you have a working web application. You see this application, right? Let's talk about the most common application, Workday. How many of us are checking our salary slip on the Workday application nowadays, guys? Most common application?
Yes, I do check.
Yep. Zoom. When you are logging with the help of the
Yes.
domain, right? Many organizations will be using Zoom. Right now, we are also using it, right? So in the
Right.
same manner, they would like to register. And if you are allowed through the company, so what you do, you go ahead and register this particular application, right? Once you are able to register, you will see the list of the application over here. And in order to allow the user, which user can allow to access this particular application within the organization, right? You will add them the respective roles, that who will be the owner of the application, who will be the one will be able to access, then whether you would like to allow single sign-on or not, what kind of the token it will be using, right? So it's altogether a different ballgame, that you will design the security for the application and what credential user will be able to use it, that you allow through the app registration. So if you try to register it, here you will going to provide the URL that this is my web application. This is the URL that the people is going to use to access that application, and what credential they will going to use to log into that application. Now, whether it is from the same domain or multi-domain, that you can decide over here. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
All of us making sense? Everybody, guys?
Yes,
Are we all on the same page? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
Coming back. All right, guys.
Rishabh,
So,
this is really just one question. So this is isolated at a tenant level, right? So the user interface you're showing us, that's isolated at a tenant level. How do you manage multiple tenants using the same user interface?
not multiple tenants. You want to ask multiple domain, right?
No, I think you've shown us where the multiple domains are, right? So
No.
I'm just
So
curious.
these are two different things. That is what I'm trying to bring this. You want to ask something, right? But you are using the terminology two tenants. Two tenants are already isolated. Tenant itself required bring isolation, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, if I'm using more than one particular domain, my requirement is probably one application will be allowed through one domain, another application will be the another domain. Are you getting my point?
Sure.
Otherwise, why I required another domain in the same tenant? Ideally, it should not.
Correct.
Clear?
Right.
Ideal approach will be that I should have a multi-tenant, because if I'm providing the isolation, because if I'm the AD administrator, I can manage both the domains, right? But if I need to give the isolation properly, I will keep two AD administrator of two different domains in two different tenants. You got the point?
Yeah.
It's a complete isolation, right? So depends on the size of the company, right? Now, how you will allow, depending how you would like to create authentication mechanism, and in your app registration, which domain is registered. So let's say I can have allow them using the Microsoft account. Then in Microsoft account, it doesn't matter whether you are in the same tenant or in the different tenant. You got the point? I can create that mechanism using that.
Okay.
Right? Otherwise, I need to create a federation. There's a second choice. I should create trust between these two domains, and I will say that, okay, both the users can log into this particular application. I'll give you an example, guys. Let's say if you are in India and if you try to open, let's say HDFC Bank or HSBC Bank URL, right? It will go to that company URL in that particular country, right? But let's say if I'm trying to log in to a account which belongs to the US, right? Have you seen, guys? In the end, it is mentioned about .in.uk. Yes or no?
Yep.
Let's take an example. If I will say msn.com, guys, just do one exercise. Open a browser quickly and just mention msn.com. Okay. And let me know, guys, are we seeing the same page or a different page right now?
A different page.
So it is going
Different.
to connect to the same domain, right? But every location is connected to a different website, right? Can I say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in order to do the isolation, right? In order to design the high availability, every application have its own high availability in that particular country, right? To avoid
Sir,
latency.
Can you please reiterate this? Like why we all are seeing a different page? What is happening at the back end?
Okay, in the backend, they might, okay, that is a networking piece. We'll talk on the later stage. But as you asked this question, in the background, they will be using traffic managers, right? And in the traffic manager, there will be multiple routing mechanism available, right? So one routing mechanism out of 6 is geo-based routing. Now, msn.com is
Sorry, in a
basically
simple language,
in a simple language.
this means that this msn.com/en/
say msn is a news website.
Yeah.
When you go to the msn.com, what information I get? What is going on in the market, right?
Yeah.
Now, if I'm in India, I will be more interested in my local information rather what happening in the New Zealand right now, right? Or in Canada right now, right?
Right.
So they know what kind of the news people would like to watch as per the location. So if I'm going to target msn.com, my request is not getting connected to the UK server. It is going to target to the Indian server.
So that
Domain is
means
same.
that one web server has
multiple web application distributed across the globe, right? And depending from where the traffic is generating, it is routing accordingly.
Okay, makes sense.
Clear? Because depending on the viewer. Have you seen, guys, Netflix says this content is not available for your location?
Sir, isn't it too much work for them because they are catering each
they utilize CDN
page.
In the background.
Sorry?
MSN, they have multiple traffic manager. For Netflix, they utilize CDN, content delivery network, in the background. We'll talk about it and those concepts, how those things work when we'll touch upon the networking, right?
I'm
so
sorry,
it is not
I
that
thought
much.
that if there is one website, everybody is visiting the same page. Okay, now I got it. Yeah.
Otherwise, how they will design the high availability thing? Okay, let's take an example of a YouTube right now. Knowingly, unknowingly, we scroll 10, 15 videos, right? So how many users are using a smartphone? Billions. How many requests are getting generated? Multiply by that many users. Do you think in the single region, doesn't matter how much high availability you will plan, will you be able to handle that many requests?
No.
Definitely not, right? So it has to be distributed. So that is your CDN content delivery network. We'll talk about it, right?
Okay.
That is not a AD concept. That's a networking concept. Yeah. Coming back, guys. Consider it again back, guys, on the tenant, right? So what we learned so far on the on-premises, we have a domain controller. We have the ADDS service and which have the hashes. On the on-premises, everything is an OU object. And this object works over the concept of the lightweight directory access protocol. On the other hand, your cloud works over the HTTP and HTTPS. But in order to manage users, group of users, ID, identity means if you create a user ID, it will be the name of the person and that domain.com. If you will create an ID of a service, so that is also an identity. What is the ID of the service? We'll talk about in a while. But in nutshell, we create identities in the tenant for the users and for the service. For creating and managing the resources, Microsoft has given us subscription. That inside the subscription, what is your subscription, guys? Billing boundary. Let's say if I'm creating a virtual machine, depending on the size, depending on the license, how much money it needs to be costed for that particular subscription, it will be deducted from that particular subscription. Clear? So what your subscription is controlling? Costing part, right? Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now, guys, as a part of the user, you may want to give some additional component to the user. I'll give you an example, guys. I hope you all able to change your own password in your company, right? If you want to reset the password, you can do that. Yes or no?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, sorry guys, go on. Somebody has a question, guys? All good? Okay. So we are able to change our own password. But great. Have you thought of this? That how a user get this particular capability that user is capable of changing their own password? What if I want to restrict it? Will I be able to do that?
You can restrict
Yes,
it if you don't
you
want
can
that to.
restrict. So if self-service is not there, you are not allowing the self-service to the user, so
Right.
he will not be able to change.
Yeah, user management policies.
Policies come later, guys. We'll talk about it. Okay, let's talk about policy. How we decide what kind of the policy we can utilize in any tenant? Maybe that policy is not enabled for you. You can't create those policies. I'll give you an example, guys. Okay. I'm going in an option called security right now, right? I want to create a policy for the security over here. Let's say I would like to create conditional access policy. Okay. I would like to create a policy, but this is grayed out. I won't be able to create a policy. Why? The reason is, guys, depending on what kind of the license that you have. You got the point? What kind of the license I'm using right now?
Free.
It's a free license, right?
Yeah.
So license will have 4 categories over here, especially from the Azure. You have a free license. You have O365 license, also known as your basic license. Further, you can go for the premium P1 license and premium P2 license. Now, why we required these licenses? User enhancement capability. When we talk about user enhancement capability, is basically we would like to empower the user to have certain capabilities over here. So self-service password reset is one capability, guys. What we all do that.
That comes
You
with
got
a
the point?
license?
That comes with the license, guys.
That's a feature of one of the license you choose.
One of the
actually.
license that has been assigned to the user. Clear?
Okay.
For an example, guys, you cannot configure your Outlook application in the Outlook. You have Office 365 email account, but you can't configure it if required license is not given to you. Like E3 license, E5 license, right? In the Office 365. You can configure your account in the Teams, but if the Teams license is not assigned, you can't. Clear? So what we are doing, we are empowering the user. It's a user enhancement capability which comes with the license. Clear? So what is a license? License is also a billing model, guys. And subscription is also a billing model. But the difference between the license and the subscription is that your subscription is basically going to cost you on the basis of usage. I'll give you an example. If you have a virtual machine, guys, okay? So you created a virtual machine of a particular size and you shut down that virtual machine after 5 days and kept it in the shutdown state for another 25 days. So out of 30 days, the machine only ran for 5 days. And the rest 25 days, the machine kept it in the shutdown state. There is another machine, equal in size, same configuration. You ran it for 30 days. And there is another machine, equal size, same configuration. You ran it for 15 days and you deleted that virtual machine. The cost will vary in all the 3 sections.
Definitely.
Yeah. But let me ask this thing, guys. If I will assign you Office 365 license, irrespective whether you utilize your Outlook application for 5 hours or 24 hours or 5 minutes, will there be any difference in the cost?
No.
I don't think.
No.
It is not
Because
on the
that's a
basis of the
capability
user.
which is provided to you. Now
Right.
you use or you don't
use it or not? Absolutely. So it's a per user license, basically.
Yeah.
Why there is a difference? Because your Office 365 license is a software as a service. That license has been assigned you, right? You will get those capability as a part of that particular application. Now here, if I'm going to use subscription, right, it will be helping you using infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, which
Sorry,
will be
come again, sir. What did you just say?
For the infrastructure as a service in the subscription.
Yeah.
Okay. So inside the subscription, the resources that you create, right? Those resources are infrastructure as a service.
Okay.
Platform as a service, right? Let's say VM. So if I will create a size of the machine, but the moment I will create a new disk and attach it to the virtual machine, the cost will increase.
All right.
right? I can do my customization according the cost will be changing over there, right? But the license is having a particular list of the features and the functionality. The moment you assign the license, you are entitled for using those particular features. Now, irrespective of that, whether you would like to use it or not, feature is there. It is up to you.
Yeah.
So let's say an ISP has given you, let's say, unlimited plan. Use it unlimited. But
So
if they have
Disha,
given,
so if you are attaching the storage or another network or something, so that is not that will not come under the license.
No.
Okay.
Let me ask this thing. You purchase an operating system, right?
Right.
Let's assume. Okay. Now that operating system, you have a laptop with a 32 GB RAM and you have a laptop with 16 GB RAM.
Right.
So if you activate your operating system in 32 GB laptop or 16 GB laptop, will your operating system license is going to cost differently?
No.
No. Right?
Yeah. Right.
So there's the same case. If I'm going to assign an Office 365 license to the CEO of an organization, E5, or if I'm assigning is somebody who is not a CEO of the organization, the cost for the company is same. Now, maybe the CEO will be using less. He's occupied in multiple meetings. Maybe I'm a support engineer for an example. I work approximately 8 to 9 hours. I need to send a lot of emails on daily basis. I may be using more, but the license cost is same, right?
Right.
Clear? With the difference, guys, license and subscription over here, right? So both of them are billing model. One is for user enhancement capability, right? And another is your resource management capability. Is a billing boundary for the resources. Clear?
Rishabh, are you going to be sharing this whiteboard with us?
Yes.
Okay,
This will be shared after every class, guys. Don't worry about that. Yeah. All right, guys. Now, moving forward, guys. Okay, we understood what exactly the user. You can create the user. So people who are not familiar and seeing this for the very first time, guys, just for you, I'm just quickly creating a user over here. So I'm going into the user section. Let's say I'm creating a user with the name Kapil over here. And here you can decide what will be the display name, right? So let's say I would like to say 𝗘𝘅𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃, and there is a person name is also, let's say, 𝗘𝘅𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃. And here you can go ahead and generate this particular password for the user, right? Further properties you can define what will be the first name and the last name. If you want to assign any particular role, you can assign that particular role as well. So let's say what will be the job title. So let's say the person is working as an application developer or application administrator. This is the job title. What is the name of the company? What is the department? Employee ID you can provide over here. If any particular person will be the manager of this particular person, you can add. So let's say Kapil will be reporting to, let's take an example, to Aditya. Okay. So Kapil is reporting to Aditya and the further information related to that. And then what kind of the role it need to be assigned. If you want to assign an individual role, you can click on add role. Depending on the job profile, you can assign that role, or you can directly move this particular user to that group where application administrator role is assigned to the group. So if you don't want to assign a direct role, you can remove it and you can directly move this particular user in a group which already have an application administrator role assigned. So this particular person will be automatically getting that particular role. So let's say my test group is there. The moment I'm going to assign this role to this particular group and there is a group of application administrator, this person will going to inherit that particular role from that particular group. Making sense, guys?
Rishabh, what is the difference between group and role?
What is the difference between group and role?
Yeah, because we have the role, we have the group.
Here's the thing, guys. Okay. Let's say this is the user. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I would like to make this user as an application administrator. Okay. Yeah, Shima, you had a question?
Yeah. I want you to finish with him, then I'll ask you a question.
So let's say you assign this particular role directly to the user. Okay. So let's say I'm having 10 different users over here, right? So do you think I need to do this particular approach, or what I can do, I can create a group basically. And I can move this user in that group. And instead assigning a role to the user, I can assign that role to the group. So if I'm going to assign that particular role to the group, so all of the people who will be in that particular group will get the application administrator role.
Okay, so we cannot assign the multiple users in the application while
You
accessing
can,
the
but
application.
don't you think it will be more of a manual work? Now, let's say if an employee is going into the another line of business, or let's say out of 6 people that I have in that particular group, 2 has been moved to the different line of business and 1 has left the organization. So I need to manually go to that individual user and I need to revoke that role. Now there can be a chance that it's a human error that person forgets to do that. It's a security breach.
Right.
Right. But over here, what I need to do, I just need to move those users out from the group. Job done. Role revoked. Clear? So whenever we are talking about managing these components, it is better approach to target from the grouping section. Because here you just need to remove the users from the group to get the access revoked. Rather going to the individual users, right? And removing that particular role.
So what I understood, group does not have any permissions. Group has the group of people like administrator or developers.
See,
only the roles has roles have the permissions.
Absolutely. Group doesn't have anything. See, understand okay. So there are 2 kinds of the roles. Okay. Let's go granular on this. Okay. As you talked about role, I wanted to cover it, but let's see it over here. So there is one called AD role.
Yeah.
Azure AD role, or you would like to call it Microsoft Entra ID role, right? That is one thing. And the another thing is your RBAC.
Right.
That you call it role-based access control.
Yeah. So RBAC, right?
Okay. So what we are talking about right now is AD level role.
Right.
Okay. Let me ask this thing. If I will make a person as a network administrator in the AD, doesn't matter in which subscription, the person will be a network administrator across the subscription, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
So the span and the scope is bigger, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. But I want a person only to manage a network inside dev subscription in a particular resource group, right? Let's say this is my network. So what I will do, I will use RBAC. I will go to that particular resource and I will assign role as a owner, contributor, or a reader only to that network. So what I did, I reduced the scoping basically.
Sir, then you will do okay, you created a group of network administrators and you want them to only access that RG. So will you
we can assign it as a resource group level. We can assign it at a subscription level as well.
That's okay. So we will assign it on the RG in order for him to limit to that area.
If you want to give a bigger scope, let's say I don't
to the subscription.
So let's say here's the thing, guys. If I'm assigning a person as a role-based access control at a network level, right? What is the scope? Only that network. But let's say I have 20 network in this resource group. I want that user to manage 20 networks. I will target resource group. So my scope will be bigger.
Can we further classify it down? Like, for example, if I just want that network administrator to handle only 5 networks.
So why am I going to assign network administrator even? I will go to that particular resource group where there will be 5 networks available and I will assign that to that particular
resource group. For example, under the same RG, there are 10 or 15 and you just want to take care of
individually assign. Okay, first of all, why you would like to create grouping of the resources so that you can easily manage, right? Ideally, this should have not come as a requirement because my grouping should be in such a manner that I can only give the required accessibility from the grouping itself. Understand this over here. Here you created a grouping so that you can manage user easily. What is the purpose of Azure AD role? To manage the group of users easily. What is the purpose of the resource group? For managing the resource easily. Clear?
So it's better that I segregate the RG
at a resource group level, that my resources should be in a manner that if I need to allow somebody to have those 5 VNets
networks,
which are in the same resource group, so it has to be running in a separate resource group.
Got it.
You got the point? Ideally, it should not be the case. Otherwise, I need to go manually and then I need to assign. Now, what can be the possibility in such case? It means it's a bad architecture. That I have not architected or not grouped the resources correctly. Right? Otherwise, that let's say my application tier is running. So the person who is responsible for the networking of the application tier should get all the network in the same resource group because that is the requirement. This is how we can give the accessibility to that resource group. Clear? But usually organization give that kind of the accessibility from the subscription. If I'm managing the entire development environment and I'm responsible for all development environment network connectivity, then better to allow this particular person at a dev subscription level.
Subscription level. Yes. Right.
So that the scope will be bigger, the person will be able to manage this entire networking component from development subscription. Similarly, I have a different person who will be managing the networking component for the QA, so as for the UAT, and so as that's for the production. Clear? So RBAC is moreover your resource oriented accessibility. RBAC.
Yeah, this AC actually.
A is there, guys. Okay, let me use the black color. Just give me 1 minute, guys. RBAC. So RBAC is your role-based access control. So this is moreover resource oriented. Okay. And this is moreover tenant oriented. The scoping is bigger. Clear, guys? Any confusion?
Yeah.
All good?
Yeah.
Following it, guys? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, yes.
So what we saw over here, right? Application administrator, application developer, right? It is not talking about any resource. These are AD level roles, right? But let's assume if I will create a VM for an example. Let's go ahead and create a VM, guys. Okay.
Can I ask a question before?
Oh, yeah. You raise the hand. Go on, please.
Please.
It's been a while.
The way you were explaining about the groups, that we can create a group and then we can create the users in it. Can you please give us the scenario where the environment is hybrid? So how do we how do we manage that? Like, for example, the user is on the on-premises also. And then do we create all the users or the same groups on the Azure Entra ID? Like, if you go back to that page, where you were creating the user, I just want to understand that how things work.
I'm just going to ask few questions. You will going to give the answers and you will be reaching to the solutions. Okay. Because I want you to apply the mind over here. Okay. Okay. Here's the thing. Now, if I'm running my business on the on-premises, right?
Yeah.
Let's assume for a while. And the people who are helping us managing the on-premises component, where those users are created in Azure AD or on-premises AD?
On-premises AD.
On-premises AD. Okay.
Yes.
So if you're creating a user inside your on-premises domain controller, right? So in order to allow them to manage your on-premises component, what kind of the role that you can assign? Something that you have created through domain controller.
Yeah, we created the group OUs. Then, for example, we have an administrator groups, and then we have applied some policies and restrictions on that. On that.
For what
users.
Resources? On-premises resources.
On-premises, yes.
On-premises resources. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Now my resources are running where? In Azure. Okay.
Under the tenant.
Under the in the subscription.
Subscription.
Right?
Subscription. Yeah.
Now, where I required those users to be created or to be bought. Let's say I required a new user to manage it. I will directly create that user in the tenant itself. Scenario 1. Scenario 2, if I want my on-premises users to manage my cloud component, I need to bring those users from the on-premises to the cloud.
AD sync se ho gaya. Okay. Okay.
So that will be your AD Connect service will come into the picture. In the AD Connect, as you rightly mentioned, there is a service called AD Sync, which will help me syncing that user from the on-premises to the cloud. But we can't use something that you have given on-premises. Why? Protocol is different.
Got it. So those users which you are getting it from the on-premises, for example, he is an administrator. Okay. He is an administrator and in your dev subscription, he will be an administrator too. Okay. He's not a global
Not automatically. I mean, if you want to assign that role, that is fine. But by default, it is just a user. On the cloud, it has nothing to do what you have given on the on-premises.
So whatever my architecture is on premises of an administrator or the policies, I will be creating everything on the cloud and then just pulling that user and putting that into the group. So technically, I'm making the same architecture on the cloud as well, whatever I have it on-prem.
The reason it is not the same because in the on-premises, domain controller is responsible for the centralized control for the user as well as for the resources, which is not the case on the cloud. In the cloud, your tenant is responsible for managing the users. On the other hand, your resources are managed as the subscription separately.
Yeah.
So you can't control everything from the tenant. You can go to the resource and then you need to assign that kind of a role. That is the reason we have RBAC. You got the point?
Okay.
Same thing. Okay. It's not apple to apple comparison, as I mentioned in the beginning, right? Yeah. Because your cloud is more advanced.
Right.
right? So that is the reason you have to bring the users and you need to manage the way the cloud works. Just understand in this manner. I'm in India right now.
Okay.
I'm following India's rules and regulation, right? Whatever in India. But if I need to move to the US, right? I need to abide with the rules and regulation for the US authorities.
Exactly.
In the similar manner, your user was there in the on-premises. On-premises was working on the LDAP protocol. It was following that protocol, right?
Right,
It was communicating over there. Certain policies were created. Where? In the on-premises domain controller.
Yes.
Now, as the user has been moved to the AD, Azure AD over here, there will be certainly new policies. Scope will be different. Accessibility component will be different, right? Because why you bought that user on the cloud? To manage cloud resources, not the on-premises resources. So the scoping will be totally different. What that user was managing on premises. So as the policy and so as the rule.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Guys?
Rishabh, I've got another similar scenario. If it's a greenfield implementation with some users using on-prem resources, would it be a good idea for us to set up the AD in the cloud and nothing on-prem at all? Is that a good idea?
Absolutely. Until your compliance team have any issues. Okay. So whenever we bring the business on the cloud, right? First of all, we talk about the dependency component. Do we have any dependency on the existing components on the on-premises? If we don't have a dependency, definitely it's a good idea. Okay. Why? Because I don't need to pay for my additional domain controller, right? I'm saving a lot of money, right? For the high availability designing, because organization invest a lot of money on security and high availability, a lot of. Yeah. So if you're directly able to bring it on the cloud, you don't need to invest that much. Yep.
Yeah, I have one question because, you know, in organization, we have many users, maybe more than 5,000, 10,000, right? So if only the, you know, tenant is creating the users inside the Entra ID, so it will be, you know, very tedious job. So on-prem, we have identity solutions. Yeah,
bring them.
So if we don't have the on-prem Active Directory, then how users will be created in Entra ID?
Just like the way I just created a user.
Yeah, but that's a manual.
So you can you also have that scripting option that you can create a bulk user as well. Not necessarily that I should go with one. You can have that CSV file in the Excel. You can directly create a bulk user. Not a problem. You have the PowerShell scripts for that.
And do we have some more mechanism like we have the identity management solutions where it is directly integrated with the source system, suppose HR system. So
Hold
this
it for
Entra
a second.
ID.
The purpose you are creating a bulk user because you don't have on-premises. Now you are talking about integration. Where we are trying to integrate.
Yeah.
It means you have on-premises.
But that on-premise can be integrated directly with Entra ID.
So use AD Connect then. Why we require AD Connect? Syncing the user. Why we need to recreate the user which is already there? I can sync them, right? Why I would like to create a bulk user? Understand one thing, right? If you already have the users and you want your cloud business to be managed by the same set of the users that you have on the on-premises, you don't have to create user. You have to just sync the user. That's it.
Okay, let me ask you one more question. Sorry. Suppose I have the HR system and we have the onboarding. So 10 people are joining today. And I want this automatically create in the Entra ID, and I don't have the on-prem solution. I don't have on-prem Active Directory. So that integration is possible, right? With
where the integration terms coming into the picture. If there is no on-premises, there is no integration. It is directly created on the cloud. Why we are using integration here?
But how directly they will be created in Entra ID?
If there is no existence, then you need to create a new one, right?
Yeah, but that is manual, right? I don't want to create manual.
Bulk user option is there. Go with the purchase with the premium P1 or premium P2 license. It does enable you to create a bulk user functionality.
But still, you need to enter all the information of your users.
So
still
what
need
happens?
to enter everything.
So when you click, go on.
Sorry.
No problem.
No, I'm saying that yes, he can do like, my dear, you can do it. Like you add all, like from the HR's perspective, the usernames and whatever the information you want to give, the attributes, you put everything into the CSV and then you export the CSV for the bulk users.
I understood.
Yeah.
But many applications they don't support the CSV. So maybe we have the
Azure
SAP.
does support. See,
Yeah,
what-
as your support, but SAP it does not have the capability to create the CSV.
Okay.
So
So-
SAP application that you have, SAP Fury, SAP HANA, whatever application
Yeah.
that you are running, you can directly bring it as an enterprise application on the cloud. You can directly create the authentication on the cloud itself. Now, another thing, as you are talking about the SAP, right? SAP
Yeah.
will not run on the cloud full-fledged. So for you, on-premises is there, and user will always be created on the on-premises and sync with the Azure AD. SAP cannot run directly on the cloud. Reason being, let me tell you why. SAP databases that you can run on the cloud, you can have SAP certified hardwares on which you can run those. But when we talk about SAP large HANA instances or SAP with any DB, those kind of the architecture, because SAP works on the concept of the SID, right? Right. So SID for the separate application will be separate. Now you can run that particular component, but for full-fledged, you end up having the on-premises dependency for certain components, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Coming back to your first question, that can I create a bulk users? The answer is yes. And if I don't have any on-premises, I can directly download the CSV. Azure gives you the format, what format Azure required. You will fill the entries accordingly, right? And you will go ahead and upload it over there.
Yeah.
Clear? It will help you creating the bulk user. And there is a PowerShell way as well.
Yeah.
That you have the script, right? And in the script, you can create a loop for each loop. That okay, this loop required these 4 or 5 information, but for that you required a script to be created, and it will fetch this department information, and depending on that, maybe it will be fetching from the CSV or it will be fetching for certain particular files that because see, if you're giving that entry in the script manually, again it's more work than something
This,
that you can do through the
what you're
portal.
saying, this on CSV, this is CSV file or CSP?
CSV
file.
Excel
That is file. .csv
Hello?
file.
.csv format. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear us? Guys, I hope you all can hear me well. Everybody?
Yeah,
Yes?
yes,
we are able to hear you.
Rishabh, yeah. So the best approach is we has to have the on-prem Active Directory for automatically syncing the identities.
I'll show you how the syncing will happen. Okay, this is what I'm going to discuss next. Okay, how we can go ahead and sync it, and we will see that syncing practically, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Till here, guys. Any questions? Any queries, guys? Are we all able to follow the conversation? Did we learn something new today, guys? All of us? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Now let's talk about syncing from the on-premises to the cloud. Okay. Let's talk about the scenarios, guys. Okay. Now, why we need the syncing? So we have different authentication method base. Because whenever you are bringing users on the cloud, right? We have different authentication.
Excuse me, I don't know if other people are also facing the same problem. The voice, can we increase a little bit voice?
Nobody's facing any problem. I just cross-checked. While you mentioned that you are not able to hear me, right? I cross-checked with the team, they can hear me well.
Yeah, I can very well hear.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear you well.
So is it Adarsh or is this Wakar? Guys, who is facing the challenge right now? Wakar, is
No,
it you?
this is
Yeah, it
this
was
is
me. What I was asking,
Yes,
this
yes.
voice, there is a voice which is very feeble, very low. So I don't know, it is
Sajad,
from
your
your
mic
side,
is
from my
having a
side.
problem. It's from your side. I've got the confirmation from the rest of the participants. This is what I'm saying. It's not from my side.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, do one thing. Okay, you are using headset right now.
No, it's open speaker.
Just open speaker. Put a headset. Put a headset or earphone or something. Right. Just connect, or maybe do one thing. Put your speaker on mute and connect via cell phone and use that over there for the conversation only.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, Rishabh, this is Wakar. Actually, I don't have any issue. Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Yeah. Thanks for the confirmation. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Coming back. So what I was mentioning about on-premises, guys. Okay. So there are different authentication methods that we can utilize on the cloud while bringing the users from the on-premises, right? And those authentication methods are PTA, that is your pass-through authentication method, guys. And before PTA, guys, just give me 1 minute.
SAML and OAuth also part of it?
See, SAML, auth are the tokens which comes in this authentication, right?
Okay.
SAML, Okta, right? OAuth.
Okay.
These are tokens.
These are
Exchange
tokens,
of
they are
tokens
not
happens,
direct.
right?
Okay. Okay.
These are not the authentication method. These are the tokens,
Okay.
basically. Okay.
Okay.
So when we say password hash sync is the one, PHS. We have pass-through authentication method, that is your PTA. And then we have something called ADFS. Remember, guys, we were talking about ADFS few minutes back, right? What exactly, right?
Services.
So ADFS is your Active Directory Federation Services. Now, before that, what we talked about a few seconds back, right? That we have something called tokens, right? What kind of the token, guys? Let's understand, guys. Okay. Now, guys, many of you have the access card when you go to the office, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
You punch that particular card, right? So let's say if your office in multi-storing building, right? Let's say on 12th floor, there is a AD team. On the 13th floor, there is a networking team. On, let's say on 14th floor, probably there is an HR team or the operational team that you have, right? So let's say I'm the member of the operational team, right? So my access card will only have the accessibility only to that particular floor where I'm working, right? It will not have the accessibility to the rest of the components. Got the point, guys?
Yes.
Right? Similarly, your token works, right? So on the on-premises, how we manage that? Authentication and the authorization, right?
Through Kerberos and
Kerberos and LTLM, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you compare the things on the cloud over here, so for the authentication, guys, in the cloud, what we use? OpenID connection. Okay. For authorization, we can utilize OAuth.
These are the tokens, right?
These are tokens, right?
Achha.
SAML and your WS Federation. Clear? Now, you don't have to do anything for that. That you are creating a token now. What we emphasize on the authentication method. These will be utilized by Azure in the background. I'll give you an example, guys. If I will go to portal.azure.com right now, what it is asking right now? Did we need to configure this OAuth too?
OAuth too. Yes.
No, we don't, right? It has already been given by Microsoft, right? It is basically generating a token for us. This is a big token, right? Which is coming over here. So if I will go ahead and put the password, right? It is going OpenID now.
Yes.
It is asking me to log in basically, right? So did I need to do anything for that? Microsoft will be doing it in the background, right? So you don't need to worry about that token piece. You are not configuring the things from the scratch. Microsoft is helping you to do that, right? So there will be a token exchange working in the background. But what we need to emphasize on, what authentication method that we will be utilizing, guys. Is this making sense, all of us? So we have password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication method, and ADFS, that is your Active Directory Federation Services. Now, who will be using password hash synchronization? So what was the requirement? Bringing the users from the on-premises to the cloud, right? Now, let's say this is your domain controller. How we create a domain controller, guys? We have ADDS service, right? What was the ADDS service? Active Directory Domain Services, right? Now, apart from that, what we did, we promoted the machine on a domain, right? And there was ntds.dit.
.dit file, yeah.
Now, where your credentials are stored in the form of the hashes, right?
Yes, in this
Now,
file, it's a hash encrypted file.
Right, hash encrypted file, right? So what it says, what is password hash synchronization over here? Syncing your on-premises user as well as the credential. Okay. So it is not just bringing the user on the cloud, it is also bringing the hashes on the cloud. So if a user who need to log in on the Azure AD, once your username and the password has been synced, there is no dependency on the on-premises. Okay, so even if tomorrow your on-premises domain controller goes down, user can still able to log in on the cloud. You got the point? Guys?
It's in sync.
Right? So what it will be using? It will be using AD Connect. So we need to download AD Connect on the machine. We need to just mention which group of the users or the users you would like to sync, whether you would like to enable single sign-on or not. And users will be able to log in without any challenges, guys. Whatever role that you...
PHS, okay.
That is PHS, right? So very cost effective, required very minimalistic effort over here. And once you are able to do so, you don't need to worry about the high availability component once the user has been synced on the cloud for the cloud business requirement. Okay. Now, some organization may not want to sync the hashes, guys. Let's say I'm a Chinese firm. Who is managing the credentials in the background, guys?
VDDS.
Azure, right?
Oh, sorry. Yes, Azure.
Azure is a US based firm.
Yes.
Now there can be political obligations, guys.
Yes.
You can't do that.
Yes.
Let's say I'm a German based firm. Do you think Deutsche Bank will be running the business on the AWS? Everything. There might be an obligation, right? That I may want to bring the users, probably managing the application, but there are certain administrator, I want to keep it on the on-premises. I never want them to be syncing on the cloud. At least even if I want, I don't want my credential to be supplied on the cloud. There are companies which are in Middle East. Those are government-based organizations. Those are oil corporations, right? They might have their own limitations. They can't bring the credentials on the cloud. So guys, requirement can be there. Clear? Now, Azure says that that is fine. If you have those kind of the requirement, do not bring the credential on the cloud. Okay. So in this particular scenario, in PTA, that is your pass-through authentication, you will be using AD Connect. Yeah. And you will be syncing the users from the on-premises to the cloud. But you are not bringing the hashes, guys. Hashes are still kept on the on-premises. In addition to that, you need to download an agent called PTA agent. You got the point, guys?
Where we will be installing this agent?
On DC.
On the DC, okay.
Okay, all right. Now I'm just going to represent this component separately, though it is on the server, but I'm just putting it separately, right? Because it's a separate component which will be assisting us, right? So what happened that this PTA agent is helping us relaying the token. What do you mean by relay? Here's the thing, guys. Whenever a user is going to supply the credential of a username and the password on the Azure, right? What will happen that it will generate a public token and send to the on-premises DC. Clear, guys? Guys, are we able to follow this still here?
Are they using that asymmetry logic?
That asymmetric key or symmetric key, that is Microsoft had it. We don't need to worry about the encryption.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
What we need to worry about? The PTA agent. Because Microsoft is going to pick that particular token-based authentication, right? So whatever we talked about OpenID connection, OAuth, SAML, right? This exchange is happening, right? So when I'm saying a public token, right? This is the token, what it will be utilizing in the background, auth and SAML. Clear? So what it is doing, it is generating a public token and sending to whom? To PTA agent. Clear? After listening to that particular token, what it will do, it will send that particular token to your on-premises DC. Is this making sense, guys?
Sir, where the public token will be generated?
Through the Azure AD. You will supply your credential, right?
Okay.
Credentials are not there. So there has to be a way to send that particular token, right?
Okay.
Here's the thing. Let's say I'm in a bank. You came to bank for certain banking account query. If I don't have that information, what I will do? I will relay that information to somebody else, right? Somebody who knows that information, right? Similarly, when the user is logging in on the cloud and the hashes are not there, that hash will be relayed in the base of the token. Clear? To whom? To PTA. Now, as this particular token is going into the DC environment, it cannot be communicating publicly. So what PTA does, it converts their token into a private token and send it to the on-premises DC. Is this making sense? Guys, are we able to follow till here? All of us? Yes, no, maybe, guys. Need a quick confirmation.
Partially, I would say maybe.
Maybe, okay.
Maybe.
Not a problem. So let's clear out that particular maybe, okay?
Can
What-
you just please start from the start on this logic?
Okay, you just type a username and the password.
Okay.
AD doesn't have the password, Azure AD.
Yes.
So it relaying that
yes.
information in the help of the token. The
Okay.
token is just now reached to the DC.
Okay.
Clear?
Okay.
Guys, can I say that maybe part is gone now? All of us?
Yep.
Maybe it's done, guys. Maybe it's not good. Either it is yes or no. Binary is better.
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, I will tell you one thing. Maybe
Hmm.
there are few people who are technical but most of the people are new. So this concept is a little bit higher, F16.
See, if you are in a mathematical class, right, and there is a derivation happening in front of you, I'm not in the expectation that you will going to remember each and everything, because there is no replacement of the self-study, guys. Okay. But when you are sitting in the class, right, and the things are making logical sense, right? So I'm not asking
Logical
whether
is
you
okay.
remember.
As far as logical, it's okay. But we don't know what is a PTA and what you are saying. Okay. That
Authentication
logical
method.
flow is we can understand.
Authentication method. What is PTA? These are authentication method, guys. I'm repeating myself. What we are trying to do in the Azure AD right now, when you type username and the password, what you are trying to do with the username and the password, guys?
Authentication, basically.
Authentication method. So password has synchronization, pass through authentication method, ADFS. What are these? Authentication method, guys.
Authentication method.
If you want me to write, I can write it, guys. Not a problem. Authentication method. So authentication method have a 3 type. One type is password has synchronization, pass through authentication method, and the ADFS. In password has synchronization, it will sync the username and the password. In pass through authentication method, credentials are not there on the cloud. It is kept on the on-premises. So we need to find a way how this particular on-premises will be able to verify, because when you are authenticating, what is basically happening? Verification, right? That are you the right person to authenticate? Is this making sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that F16 is
Are
gone.
these methods mutually exclusive? You can only use one method at a time, or you could use a combination of these at one time?
Let me ask this thing. We can use combination, right? But right now, the company who have the problem bringing the credential, in what world they say, oh, I'm okay with now. Understand the requirement, guys. You can use combination, right? But what combination we are talking about? Clear? Probably for the additional domain controller, maybe. There are certain projects where my team doesn't have the problem. I can sync certain users as a PHS, and I might have another domain controller where I would like to use pass-through authentication method, right? You can do that.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Okay.
You can have the 2 different domain controllers having 2 different requirements. You can do that. Okay. Okay, guys. Anything we are not able to follow now? Guys, one thing I would like to tell you, there is nothing called complex. It's the difference between knowing and unknowing, guys. Maybe there is a complex scenario that you already know, may look easier. Maybe there is an easy thing which you might be seeing it difficult over here, right? But what I'm seeing is over here, authentication, you are doing it in your organization in ages. You are logging into the application, you're logging into your machine, right? Authentication is not a new concept. What I'm showing right now, it is just your Azure AD authentication method. Clear? So when you log in on the cloud, what happens at that point of time? And there is an additional requirement coming over here that my users are situated on the on-premises. So what we are trying to achieve, we are trying to bring the users so that they can log in on the cloud. Is this making sense, guys? In a simpler terminology, all of us?
Makes sense.
Guys, is it
Yes.
still looking very complex to you all, guys? Let me know. I will try to put it much simpler, guys. The only reason I'm asking is that after spending 1 hour, 2 hour, right? You should not be in a position that I'm still seeing the things in a complex way. Otherwise, we are not doing justice with the time. Do ask questions, guys. Okay, because after spending 3 hours and 4 hours, and still you feel like that, oh, I'm still in the doubt. So first thing, guys, in that 4 hour, why we have not cleared that particular query? Clear? Because asking question is not my job, guys. That has to be coming from your side. Clear? Guys? Don't feel any pressure. Don't be any hesitant. 10 people saying yes. You have each and every authority to say no. This is not clear. I will repeat, guys. Clear? Everyone? Guys?
Yes, sir.
Be honest to
Yep.
yourself first. Don't be in the peer pressure. 10 people saying yes. People is going to judge me. No. We all are learning. Why we are in the training? Because we don't know. That's the reason. Anybody who's an expert, why the person is sitting in the training, guys? Okay, so don't pressurize yourself, don't hesitate, and do ask question. After 4 hours, I'm going to ask questions, guys, and I want you that at least 60 to 70% that you will be able to answer or near to that particular answer, guys.
Rishabh,
Okay, guys?
is PHS the most common way to authenticate on AD? Or Azure?
See, it depends on the scenario. If I'm the firm from the Germany, maybe the common way I'm using is PTA. Clear? There is nothing called common and uncommon. It is just the requirement that you are trying to fulfill. Clear? Maybe you end up be the part of a certain team where the organization only use PTA or ADFS. You are not seeing PHS at all, right? So most easy method is PHS, that I would say. Easiest method. PTA is having an additional dependency. There is no complexity over there because the only thing that you need to do is download the PTA agent. Rest is the same, the configuration, right? So when you download AD Connect and when you install AD Connect, because what is this AD Connect, guys? This is an agent, right? Where you download
On
your
DC.
domain controller. During the installation, you have to tell what authentication method you would like to use. Clear? You got the point?
Yep.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So Sangran is asking who manages the PTA, guys. Us. Who is going to download this? This is an agent, right? There is an additional requirement. Who would like to keep credential on the on-premises, guys? Us, right? It's our business requirement.
The admin will install it.
So
the
local
DC.
administrator or your on-premises
Will
AD
install it on the
administrator,
DC,
right?
yeah.
They will install it on the DC. Who's the person who is the in charge over here? Local admin, you can call it. Clear? Guys, are we able to follow? All of us? Is there any confusion, guys? Yes, no, maybe, guys. What about the rest of the participants, guys? Mikey, it's better if you ask question and then share the diagram. I don't know what's the purpose of diagram. Guys, don't worry about the screenshot. What do you saying? ADC. I didn't get it, Mikey. You can unmute yourself. Feel free to unmute, guys. Save time. That is additional domain controller. You want to ask the full form, right? Yes, no, maybe. Guys. Mikey, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, there it is.
Yeah, Mikey. You got
So,
the point, right? You were asking about full form this?
Yes. So I was saying, like, where is the start of your diagram versus the end of the diagram? I know we moved to different sections during the conversation, but where is the beginning of the diagram? Are we on the left side, the middle, or the end when you're having your discussion?
Okay, depending on what? What is the middle of the diagram? For what reference? What context we are talking about? Are we talking about the context of the on-premises or Azure? Because if you are talking about the context of the Azure, this is the diagram. If you want to context on the on-premises, this is the diagram. This is additional domain controller, this is the diagram, right? If you're talking with the context of the subscription, this is the diagram, right? And this is for the authentication. These are individual diagrams for the password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication method, and ADFS have not created yet, right? So we are talking about scenarios, right?
Okay.
So he started from ADC.
Yeah,
he started from domain controller, ADDS. If you see this portion, this is the on-premises portion. And then he started from the tenant, that how it looks like on cloud. And then the squares follow.
Yeah. For the subscription and the RBAC, right? That how the role will be assigned, how you can go ahead and do the scoping, right? And now we are in the phase of seeing those things, right? So what I'm talking about right now, authentication method. So you will see me creating the domain controller. You will see me syncing that particular user, right? What we required to achieve this, right? So we're going to talk about that now.
Yeah, Rishabh, sorry, actually I was away for just for a while. This password hash sync, this AD connect, it can sync the password also from on-prem to cloud.
Depending on what you have selected. Password hash synchronization will sync username and the password, right? So if you see the diagram, user is there and hashes is there. Name itself says password hash sync, right?
Yeah, so we can use the on-prem password in the cloud as well.
Absolutely, single sign-on.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
So here in your password hash synchronization, pass-through authentication method, what we required a PT agent that will be on your domain controller that you download. Why I have created it outside? Because it's a separate component, right? So whenever a user will try to log in on the Azure AD, it will have a username and it will have a password, right? Now, as the password is not kept on the cloud, so it can't verify on the cloud. So what it will do, it will generate a public token and send to your on-premises PTA agent. Okay. So the PTA agent will convert that token into a private token. Clear? And sending where? To the on-premises DC, which have your ntds.dit, right? Which have your hashes information. So what it will do, it will verify that information here. Okay. And once that verification has been done, what all kind of the verification it does, whether the user is active or not, whether the token which has given has the required hashes, whether it is matching or not, right? And once it has been verified, it will send that particular token to the PTA agent, that private token. PTA agent will again convert that private token into a public token and send it to your Azure AD, and then user is able to log in over here. Clear?
Okay. Yeah.
Now,
what information PTA contains? Like username or something?
See, let me ask this thing, okay? What we have on the cloud right now? User and password. So user, you have already synced, right? So do you need to verify the user on the on-premises? You don't, right? It is already syncing. User has been synced. So user verification can be done on the cloud. What you are sending with the help of the token? What required on-premises verification? Hashes, right?
Yeah, but password is not there in this scenario, right? Or password is also
that is the purpose that PTA agent is solving. That the token was generated, right? You supplied the credential here. Credential was not there. So what they did with the help of that credential, they created a token.
Yeah, but what credentials? Which password a user will use here in cloud?
Same password.
Same password, because the password was not synced, right? Or password is also synced in this scenario. In this scenario, password is
okay. If password is synced, what PT agent is doing? If the password is synced, the verification can directly happen on the cloud. In the first part, right? So password is not there, right? That is the reason that information needs to be relayed in the form of the token, so the verification can happen here.
Yeah. Actually, you know, what I'm getting confused here. So user is trying to access the public services, which is hosted in the cloud, right?
Correct.
And he does not have the on-prem username and password.
AD does not have the password. Do not say username. Username is there.
Yeah, username is there. Yeah, password is not
use the
there.
right terminology. Okay. See, I'm just going to repeat. Okay. Listen very carefully. Okay. User has been synced, right? So let's say my name is Rishabh. My credentials are on the on-premises. Okay.
Right.
So I'm typing Rishabh at xyz.com. Okay.
Correct.
And in order to log in, I have given my password. Now user verification has been done, but the credential verification can't happen on the cloud. Okay. So what happened? The token was generated with the help of the credential that I have supplied. Okay. So that token is the public token sent to the PTA agent. Okay. Now what PTA is? It is an agent. What is the job of the agent? It's a broker.
Yeah.
Why we required any broker, guys? Let me ask this thing. If I need to invest the money in the stock market and I'm not familiar with the stock market up and downs, whom I will be contacting with?
Yeah, broker,
right? So basically broker understand that environment better, right? I want to achieve my purpose, my goal, right? But how things will be implemented, that information will be there to whom? To the agent, right? So what I want my password. I'm sending that request with the help of the token to whom? That agent. Agent knows how to get the job done. So what it did, it converted into the private token. Send it where? To the on-premises DC. Clear? So on-premises DC, after receiving that particular token, what it is doing? It is verifying that what you have given to me right now. Let's say I'm a domain controller. I got a token. So I need to check whether this particular token is correct or not. So what I'm going to do? I'm going to verify that token. How I can verify? Because I have the hashes. I know what needs to be verified. So what I'm going to do, that whatever hashes I have received in the form of the token, I'm trying to match that particular value. So first thing, what I will check, whether the user is active or not. What if the user has left the organization?
Yeah, still I have one confusion actually. Sorry, I'm not following. So let me repeat. So I am trying to access one application in the cloud, right? And my password is not there in the cloud. So where I will be, where I will enter the username and password. So how
in the
it
web
will
portal?
be via web portal, and where it will be authenticated
in the on-premises.
Okay, it will redirect to on-prem.
That is what the token is doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Just one thing, one question. This is what you are talking is
clear now.
Is on hybrid model, or it is on the public model also itself, the same thing.
When you are saying hybrid model, I don't know what is a public model. This is hybrid, right? Whenever
This
we
is
are
hybrid.
bringing
No,
on,
that's why it is going to verify the password on our premises network.
Right.
Okay,
So
but
Sajjad,
if we don't have any on-prem, we have everything on cloud. So nothing to relay on the.
These all three authentication method only come in the hybrid only. When
Hybrid
you're on
model,
premises, right? In the cloud,
this
if
is one
everything, this is one thing, right? So this authentication method,
people are
what we
getting
talk
confused over there, because what I feel that it is what you are talking about, the hybrid, because where our Active Directory already exists on our premises. So now we need to verify from there.
Sajjad, here's
So
the
this
thing.
is one thing. Another thing is, if we are working on cloud, so our username and password is already there. So I know a little bit, but I want more clarification from you. For example, so I can create username and password in that Active Directory of the cloud, whatever it is. Okay. So why, once it is possible that my username and password can be generated on the cloud, why it is going on the on-premises? Because it is already synced. So it is not synced in the two-way direction. It is only synced in one-way direction.
Hold that query for a while, Sajjad. Okay, I got the problem. What you have right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand one thing. Okay, guys, I required a little bit of silence for a few minutes. Okay. See, guys. First of all, if the user and the credentials are created on the cloud, do you think, guys, we required any authentication method over there? Cloud already know to verify that information, right, Sajjad? Sajjad?
Yes, you're right.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when we are talking about AD Connect, can we say AD Connect will only come into the picture when we are using hybrid? What is the job AD Connect is doing? Syncing from where?
On-premise to cloud.
On-premises to the cloud. So guys, always remember, if we are talking about the AD Connect, right, it means we are talking about hybrid. Is this making sense, guys? We are trying to solve the problem. What is the problem? Because before we started this discussion, right, we talked about that what if I have 50,000 users on the on-premises or 5,000 users, and I want that user to manage my cloud business.
Yes.
So I'm not hiring new user, right? I'm not creating any new user on the cloud. So cloud cannot have that particular information in the very beginning, right? I have that user on the on-premises and I would like to bring that particular information on the cloud, right? So that part is pretty evident that all these three authentication methods only come into the picture if you're running hybrid. Any confusion, guys?
No,
okay.
Rishabh.
Okay. Now, when we are running hybrid, what is the source? On-premises. What is the destination? Cloud.
No.
Because user existed on the on-premises. Cloud has no information about it, right? Now, when we talked about the password has synchronization, you have synced the user and the hashes. So if the user and the hashes has been synced, and if tomorrow user is trying to log in on portal.azure.com or any application hosted on the cloud, it doesn't require anything on the on-premises side, right? User and credentials are already there. It can directly verify the things on the cloud. Yes or no, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
You're good, right? Yes. Okay.
Right.
Second thing, what I quoted over here, why we are going with PTA? Because organization have a compliance challenge. They are not okay with that. Right? So organization is not okay with that, right? So what we have to do, we have to meet the compliance, right? We cannot enforce the things, right? Because compliance is something which is regulatory business, right? We have to follow that, right? HIPAA compliance policies there, right? ISO compliant. There are other compliance, right? Depending on what organization that you work with and in which country that organization runs, right? So here we have a dependency. So what we did, we used PTA. So PTA was able to sync my user, but until the user is not verified, your domain controller is still in charge. Where is the credentials? On the domain controller.
DC.
So who will going to send that information to the domain controller for the verification? That is your PTA agent, that it is receive that public token and send it in a way that your on-premises DC can understand. Let's say your cloud speak English, on-premises speak French. They can't understand each other. You required somebody who convert the information in such a manner that your on-premises can verify that information, right? So it did that with the help of the token, right? Now, once the verification happens over here, right? So here there are two things, guys. Your cost has been increased, isn't it? Because as you have the on-premises dependency, you required an additional domain controller to avoid a single point of failure.
Right.
And as you required an additional domain controller, you also required more than one PTA agent to ensure that you should not have a single point of failure for the PTA agent as well. Right? So this is not simple. It means that.
But it looks me, more secure, this PTA, because you are not syncing your hash code to the cloud.
I have a question for you, for both of you. Okay, you mean cloud is non-secure?
No, that is secure, but
no, but it's the compliance, right? That
compliance.
Need to follow.
So if the compliance is not stopping you, why I need to increase the cost?
Yeah, but due to the cost, we cannot compromise the security.
I'm saying, who is going to decide? Let's say you are a US-based company. Okay. Let's say you are one of the firm running in US. Take an example, you are Walmart. Walmart is US-based company and they are okay to run the entire business on the cloud. So bringing all the business on the cloud, it means Walmart is compromising the security. If you're saying this is more secure, guys, always remember password has synchronization and PTA, both are secure. PHS is as secure as your PTA. We are doing this just to meet the compliance. Clear? Password has synchronization is also as much secure like your PTA. Just only because of the compliance reason we required PTA, and that is what we are bringing the additional mechanism. Password hash synchronization is non-secure. That is an incorrect statement, guys. Clear?
Rishabh, maybe between this synchronization, AD Connect using the AD Connect from the on-prem to cloud. So maybe it is hacked as well, right? It is leaked.
Let me ask this thing. Why you open a bank account? You can. Let me give you a normal example, guys. Hold on over there. Why we open a bank account? You can keep the money in the house. House is more secure than bank. You trust bank, right?
Right.
You know that a bank will be giving your money more secure, right? So you are not saying that, okay, I'm going to keep the money in the house, because they are dealing with the money on daily basis. They know how to maintain the security. How much security I will put it, right? It will be expensive.
Right.
Clear?
Right.
So it's not the part that your password has synchronization is keeping the username and the password and it is non-secure. Let's keep it on the on-premises. On-premises is also prone to the equivalent amount of the hack. Even Microsoft has more data and artificial intelligence to protect your environment.
Yeah, actually, my doubt is, during the synchronization from on-prem to cloud. So maybe
so they are managing the token security. If you want, you can create that particular token routing with the help of your own network. Let's say I will create express route. See, what I'm saying is your SAP databases are also running on the cloud nowadays, right?
Right.
Okay. SAP is a competitor of Oracle, which is a US-based company. Now SAP has collaborated with all your cloud platform, Azure, AWS, and GCP. All these three are Azure and AWS and GCP are US-based companies. SAP is German-based company, trusting US-based company. So don't you think that SAP must have already verified each and everything that from the compliance security? And understand one thing, guys. I cannot wake up in the morning and try to decide to become a provider one day. audits are happening. There are authorities who will going to continuously audit. One audit fail, you will lose the license of the provider. So the thing is, the amount of the money an organization can lose, you can multiply that number with a bigger number. That much money your provider will be losing if any audit will fail on any year basis, that you are non-compliant, or by any chance that your environment is not that very much secure. Are you getting my point? The only thing is that maybe you are a defense firm. Let's say we have Azure data center in West Virginia, and those are government data centers. Now the thing is, data center is completely owned by government, and they are using password as synchronization. So see, trust is there. The only thing is whether you trust it or not, that is a separate story. Clear? So it is not that your PHS is non-secure. It's just the matter of the trust, whether your organization trusts, it is fine. If it is not, putting it on the on-premises. Clear? From the security front, there is no problem. All of us guys, making sense? Everybody? The reason is, I do not want you to say this thing in front of any interviewer or anybody whom you are representing the architecture. It is basically, we are doing this because to meet the compliance. It is not bringing more security, guys. Okay? Because your on-premises environment.
Yeah, this is a protocol for being hybrid version. That's
right.
Because this token will go on the same net. So just to make sure it is reliable or it is secure, we have to use this PTA.
Right. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. One very basic question, Rishabh. Most of the organizations, they prefer, this PHS or PTA.
Okay. The answer is hidden.
Yeah.
The answer is hidden. Which particular country gives more business in the IT? I'm just asking that, do we have more US-based IT firms or UK-based IT firms? Nowadays in the world, right? US-based, right? US is the major generator of the IT business, right? If you take out the percentage, they are around 60%, probably 30-35%, and then rest 10% comes across, probably 5% from the Singapore or 2-3% from the Australia location, right? Now, if the major contributor is US and they don't have any compliance obligation, so definitely PHS will be utilized more, right? But it's not because of anything. It is because their compliance is allowing it. If your compliance is not allowing it, go with the PTA. Okay. So what will be used more is not going to specify in your case. We don't give the same medicine to all the patient, right? It depends on the diagnosis. Clear?
Yes.
All right, guys. Coming back. Any questions on this? All good?
Yeah, all good.
Okay. Guys, would you like to have a short break? I forgot to ask. We can have a few minutes break and then we can carry on because there will be many participants, and after that we will be implementing this practically. Okay.
Sure.
So we'll do an exercise. We will create a VM on the cloud, just like to replicate like on-premises domain scenario. And then we'll talk about certain requirement, because this hybrid integration you can't do until you have a premium P1 or premium P2 license. So user syncing you can do, but there are certain features that we will going to talk about, because this synchronization is a one-way sync. It is not a two-way sync. You are syncing from the on-premises to the cloud, but it is not syncing from the cloud to the on-premises. If you want to do so, there is an additional mechanism for the credentials that we call it password write back. So we're going to talk about it and how to enable that during the installation or integrating this component. What all things we're going to do it practically, guys, in a few minutes. Okay. All right, guys. So
before we go on a break, can you share what the whiteboard? We can just kind of quickly review before we come back.
You are the part in the WhatsApp group.
I believe so. Yes.
Yes, we'll be sharing in the group, guys. Okay. Do not worry about that. Do not put your pencil and paper. Stay focused on the things. Do not worry about it. We'll give everything. We have the portal. All the things are getting recorded. You will get the recording as well. Okay. So don't worry about that, please.
Yeah. Rishabh, how long this break will be? How many minutes?
I'll just put the timer over here. Usually we go for a 15 to 20 minutes break. Okay.
Okay.
So have a snack, a cup of coffee or a tea, and be back, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm just going to pause the. Guys, can I get a quick confirmation?
Yeah, Rishabh.
Okay. What about the rest of the participants, guys?
Yes, you were.
All back, guys? All settled?
Yes.
Okay, guys. moving forward now. Okay, guys. Now we're going to talk about ADFS, right? That is Active Directory Federation Services. Okay. Now, guys, in Active Directory Federation Services, we required 2 domains, not one, more than 1 domain, guys. Okay. Now, let's say this is your tenant, right? And let's say this is your on-premises ADDS server, which is promoted on a domain, and it has anti-ds.dit, right? Now, here as well, we will be syncing the user using AD Connect. Now, my question is, when we should be using federated services? Because we talked about 2 scenarios, right? In one scenario, you would like to sync the user and the password both. In the second scenario, you are syncing only the user, not the hashes, right? But what can be the third scenario that you required ADFS? What it is trying to solve over here? We talked about this ADFS a few minutes back.
Password write back.
Password write back, guys, you can enable everywhere. See, let me talk about what is password write back first, okay? When you say password write back, what password write back does, guys? Okay, let's understand in this manner. Let's talk about single sign-on first, okay? What is a single sign-on? Can anybody quickly tell me, guys? SSO?
The ability to authenticate once and pass a token to other applications or systems to not have to re-authenticate.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So guys, here, let's say this is a user. Now this particular user will be providing a username and the password, right? So how you secure that particular username and the password? Because anybody can see you typing the password, right? Yes or no? And in the organization, everybody is aware about what username you are using, right? Everybody is able to see each and every email address, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
So how we secure that? Using multi-factor authentication. Token is there, right? See. So what happened when you type username and the password, a token will be generated. That information is encrypted. But basically, if somebody sees somebody typing the password, the security is breached. I can also type your username and the password if I have seen you, what password you are utilizing, right? So in order to keep that particular security, your organization is continuously asking you to reset the password every 72 days or 90 days, right? Yes or no? We all are doing it, right? We all are resetting the password, everyone?
Yes, yes.
Right? So why they do that? Because meantime, if there is somebody who is trying to breach the security, the moment you will reset the counter start with 0 again. Okay. Now, the moment you will do multi-factor authentication, so what happened? The user will have some device, some smart card, or probably their cell phone on which they have the authenticator app, right? So what it further add on an approval process, that a device will be in the user's possession, that user need to unlock the device using the facial recognition or biometric. And after that, they need to approve the request, right? So even somebody have seen the password, but they can't approve the request until they have the control on the device, right? This is how you are bringing the security. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Guys, do we all agree? All of us? Any confusion here?
Sir, मुझे ये थोड़ा समझ नहीं आया. Please repeat कर दें.
Okay, no problem. So what we are talking about over here is single sign-on, right? So what a user is doing, user is typing username and the password, right? So what it will do, it will generate a token. But whether this username and the password is being utilized by the same user or by somebody else, how you will check the authenticity of that user, that this is a legitimate user. What you do, you put multi-factor authentication.
Multi-factor authentication.
So what
with their
multi-factor
phone or
authentication
email
does?
address. Yeah.
Yep. So what multi-factor authentication does, maybe you will have a OTP, which will be sent to your cell phone, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe there is an authenticator app, right?
Yeah.
So once it will be approved, it will further generate another token. Right? Now, this particular token, if you have enabled single sign-on, is applicable for logging multiple applications. It means single token is allowing you the accessibility to multiple applications. Why? Now let's assume, guys, if there is a user and that user need to access 10 different applications. So 10 different password is not only the problem for the user, but also the problem for the IT team as well, right? On daily basis, let's say there are 5,000 users having 10 different credential. So they also might be facing the problem that they forgot the credential of what, right? What application they have kept, and they continue to call IT to reset that particular password, right? Yes or no? Or maybe you need to follow a mechanism to do so, right? So more credential, more complexity, right? So to avoid that challenge, they came up with that, okay, let's have a single sign-on. That single username and the password, we will improve the security using multi-factor authentication and will ensure that people will be using the same credential for entering multiple application, right? So that we call it seamless single sign-on. Seamless means that you even not need to put the username and the password again. The same token, which is valid, it will going to allow you to have the accessibility. So guys, when you open Office 365 in your browser, and will you try to open OneDrive, it will not ask you the password, right? OneDrive will open automatically. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, so that is seamless single sign-on. So it means the token will have the validity probably for 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours. How long that particular token can remain valid. Otherwise, you have to do multi-factor authentication again. But by the time that token is valid, you can access a number of applications which is following that single sign-on. Right? That is your single sign-on. Now, guys, any confusion on the single sign-on? All good? Especially people who are not from the AD background. Is this making sense? Guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Now, in your password has synchronization or in PTA, right? Let's say you have synced the user, right? But user want to reset the password on the cloud. So if user is able to change the password on the cloud, and if you're not syncing that password to the on-premises, it will be a password mismatch, right?
Yes.
You can't do single sign-on. So in order to achieve single sign-on, let's say the user is changing the password on the cloud and I want the same password to be changed on the on-premises at the same point of time, what we will be doing? We will be enabling a service called password write back. That the moment I will be changing the password, it should be able to update the password in the on-premises as well. Clear? Got the point, guys?
Yes, clear.
Yeah. So password write back you can enable in both kind of the authentication method, not just in one. Password has synchronization and PTA. So ADFS is not being utilized for the password write back. It is a feature that you can enable in any hybrid authentication method, whether it is password has synchronization, PT or ADFS. You got the point, guys? Now coming back to the primary question, why we required ADFS? What is the need? If password has synchronization is syncing everything, or if I don't require, I can go for a PTA, or I can use both as well. Let's say one domain controller will be using password has, another one will be using PTA. But my point is, why even ADFS? What do you think, guys?
Application to authenticate.
So what we are doing in the password has another domain, right? Now coming back, why we need another domain? What it is enhancing?
Security.
How?
To avoid users having to enter their details.
Frequent access to the primary domain. Not guys, not for the DDoS protection. Okay. Distributed denial of service, right? Distributed denial of service is a kind of the protection that you put at layer 4 and layer 7 for the application on a number of the requests, right? But let me ask this thing. Okay, we'll talk about DDoS. This is not for the DDoS, guys. Okay. Because we are talking about AD level authentication. We are not talking about network security. DDoS is your network security mechanism on the public IP. Clear, guys?
Yeah, ADFS provides the federation.
Federation. Yeah, that is the question. Why we require a federation, guys?
Yeah, to establish a trust relationship between two disparate domains so they can share applications and data probably.
So one user can share access, can access multiple applications without putting credentials again and again.
This is what single sign-on was doing, right?
Yeah.
And you can achieve it in password has synchronization and PTA as well. Why ADFS? Okay.
For multiple applications.
So that you can achieve in PT and PHS as well. Multiple applications.
But those application might not be supported PTA.
Why?
No, but those applications have nothing to do with the ADDS, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. That's a third-party application.
See, wait a second over here. Okay. Let's understand the use case. Okay. A generic use case, guys. Not from the AD. I'll give you a generic example. Okay. Let's say two particular nations are on war. Okay. Let's go somewhere back, right? Take an example of World War II, right? Now, let's say UK and Germany were fighting. Okay. So were they fighting within Germany or within UK? Or they are fighting two other locations. Let's say Germany and UK is fighting in Africa, for an example, right? Or let's say they are fighting in India, right? But if there is a war happening somewhere else, right? There is no damage happening in the Germany and in the UK at the same point of time. Yes or no? Right?
Right.
So where it is happening? Somewhere else, in some other domain. Okay.
Yeah.
So why we bring additional domain is because we don't want any sort of the damage on our primary domain.
Okay. Okay.
Clear? Why ADFS comes into the picture? Understand a mechanism here that if you allow your primary domain controller to be accessible more frequently, right, the chances of the security breach will be on the higher basis. Take an example to your house, right? Let's say you live on ground floor, right? And you live in an area where a lot of greenery is there. Looks good, right? Fresh oxygen. But the problem with the greenery is a lot of snakes can come to your house as well, right? Yes or no? And if you keep your door open, I mean, you are utilizing that particular door frequently, there is a higher chance, right, that the rodents and those kind of things can enter in your house. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So what you need to do? You need to keep the door closed. Let's say I will only allow the entrance from the third floor through the lift. I will not going to open my ground floor door. So then the chances will be less, right? Yes or no? I'm forcing the user to use the lift. That you will go to the third floor and only then you can enter to the house. You can't enter to the ground floor and the second floor. So if the doors are not opening frequently, I can manage the security. The same concept has been applicable over here, that why we have the another domain. One particular domain is for your verification. That is your primary domain. But your authentication mechanism is happening on your secondary domain. Your multi-factor authentication is happening on your secondary domain, guys. Clear? Coming back to the initial example that I gave you, that you can apply for the job through your LinkedIn credential. So if you need to perform multi-factor authentication and you are applying for a job with a Google account, who is performing multi-factor authentication if needed? Your Google account, right? Not your primary account. Is it making sense, all of us?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your federated domain, why we call that domain as a federated domain? Because your primary domain and your federated domain both have a trust with one another.
Between each other.
Clear? Now, when we create the trust, it means that any multi-factor authentication will be done through your federated domain. That token, I don't need to worry about that because they have already verified that particular token for me. Okay, so something which is coming towards my domain for the verification, it means that is trustworthy, verified. So I don't need to worry about the security because if there will be a problem happening, it will be happening here. Make sense, all of us? Guys, got the concept? What is the logic behind bringing this particular security? Okay. Yeah. So whenever a user try to put the username and the password, you are using AD Connect. You are syncing only the user, guys. Okay. But whenever the token will be sent for the verification, it will be sent where? To your federated domain. So what we are trying to achieve is that your multi-factor authentication will be different. Now, coming back. See guys, I can enable multi-factor authentication in PHS and PTA as well.
Right.
Right. In Azure AD, we have that particular option available. So let's say if I go over here, right, to the user section, I have per user multi-factor authentication. I can enable it. You see over here, guys?
Yes.
I can enable multi-factor authentication, right? To any user that I have created over here, and you don't require any additional license for that. You can do it in the free license as well. Clear? I can enforce the user to perform multi-factor authentication, that you can't even log in if you have not configured MFA. Because security is always enforced, guys. Security is not a choice. I will not leave that particular choice to my user. I will enforce the security. Do we have a choice at the airport, guys, for the security check? We can't, right? We have to go via security check, right? Anybody who's need to board the plane. Similarly, you can enforce multi-factor authentication. The moment you will enforce, if that user is trying to log in, the first option it will say, okay, set up multi-factor authentication. Clear? Now you have the options. What kind of the multi-factor authentication that you required over here? Let's say I would like to allow only to access the application with the non-browser application, that you need to download and install the application before that. Or I can skip multi-factor authentication. Let's say the people are in the office. Maybe you are working for a financial firm where might be the cell phones might not be allowed. So I can skip because there will be security cameras. The people will be checked before going into the flow. So I can skip as well multi-factor authentication from the trusted IP. And I can give the IP range. Okay. Or I can decide what type of the multi-factor authentication will be done. Maybe an OTP on the cell phone via text message, or maybe they need to download an mobile app like Authenticator app. Okay. Or some organization goes with the smart card hardware token, that you have to plug that particular device and you need to perform authentication with the help of that. Right.
Like YubiKeys?
No, you can call it. There are tokens like HSM's hardware security modules, right? Okay. So what happened? It have a chip, right? So I'm not sure how many people have utilized, right? RSA, you can call it, absolutely. RSA. So what happened that you plug the smart card, or there are certain keys, retina scan is there, biometric is there, and there is a smart card, chip is also there. So certain organizations have that mechanism. And you also can skip multi-factor authentication. Let's say I'm a sales guy, I need to travel a lot. I might not be able to log in through my trusted IPs, right? So that kind of the account can skip multi-factor on the authentication because I only have the reader access, for an example, right? So there is no security issue. So I can authenticate, let's say for 90 days or maximum for 365 days, I can skip if authorities allows that. Who will be the person? Azure AD administrator can allow this particular mechanism as well. However, what if the organization want to use their own multi-factor authentication or the third-party multi-factor authentication? You got the requirement, guys? Microsoft has given me the option for multi-factor authentication, but what if I have already in the collaboration and we have signed an agreement for 5 years or 10 years? That money should not be wasted as well, right? That leverage has to be there. Let's say I have already collaborated with Google. I'm using it on the on-premises and I would like to use the same way. I don't want to go with the Azure AD. So in that particular case, you have a need that, okay, password has synchronization is PTA is fine, but I have a need that I would like to use my own multi-factor authentication server or the third-party multi-factor authentication server. Got the point, guys? All of us?
Yeah.
In what situation we should be picking ADFS, right? Because see, guys, tomorrow, if you will become solution architect, right? All this decision will be taken by you, depending on the use case. Clear? So you have to understand the need first. Why am you doing it? What is the purpose of doing that, right? So the purpose is using either your own multi-factor authentication server or third-party multi-factor authentication server. Now, why organization goes for the third party? Because when you create your own multi-factor authentication server, again, patching, hardware maintenance, right? That can occur in the downtime, can impact the business. Right. So what they do, they hand over that entire portion to the third party, and they will go under an agreement that at least I'm looking for this much of the high availability. Clear? That I need to have that much of the uptime. See, guys, somebody has already invested the money in the security. Why I need to do the R&D and need to work on that? Mercedes never create tires, right? They create good cars. Tires have been manufactured by MRF, CA tires, whatever is that, because the people have the specialty in that. Why Mercedes need to invest the money in that particular direction? So what they do, they outsource. Clear, guys?
Question, Risha. Is there any particular time or instance when the primary domain will have to be used?
Absolutely, for the verification. Because once the multi-factor authentication has been approved and verified, right, that token will be sent to your primary domain for the verification. Clear?
I mean directly, say for some reason, federated domain is not working.
This domain is not working, you're saying?
The federated domain.
No. let's say you're, okay, let's keep in this way. Okay, you went to the airport, that security machine is not working. Well, that will be the reason that you can board the plane without a security check?
No.
No, right? Security is the need. Right? What position that you will be, that if a banking firm will be hacked tomorrow because multi-factor authentication was not working, so you allowed that particular person. Right? There is a bigger problem over there, right? For the banking firm, trust is everything. Maybe you can repay the customer the money back, but if there is a trust issue, the person will not take much of the time to open a bank account with the another bank, right? You're losing a lot of money over there. See guys, security always be enforced. Security is not a choice. And if there is a problem happening, we need to fix the security issue first before allowing somebody. Clear?
So what you're saying that there's a chance where the user can
design a high availability, invest more. Your business is more important, right? I mean, this multi-factor authentication server should not be a single multi-factor authentication server, right? You should have more than one. Why people will be going with the third party? Think about google.com. Do you think google.com will only use one multi-factor authentication server? The Google is being accessed by more than 190 countries, guys. Don't you think that Google will be facing multi-factor authentication outages? They will be, but they must have designed the high availability, isn't it? Clear? The way you are designing the high availability of your domain controller, don't you think Google has to do the same?
Okay. Yeah.
Clear? So to avoid a single point of failure, there have to be a mechanism for that. Not checking is not a choice. Security is not a choice, guys. Clear? All of us. So whenever a token will be generated, it will be sent for the multi-factor authentication. The multi-factor authentication will again approve this. That okay, multi-factor authentication has been completed. I'm sending this particular confirmation. Now, once that confirmation goes, they will generate another token. That okay, this is the confirmed token. Now that token will be sent to your on-premises DC for the verification of the hashes, and then it will go ahead and bring that particular token to your federated domain and send it to the cloud. Is it making sense, guys? Everybody? Yes, no, maybe, guys.
Yeah, Rishabh, I have one question. If we don't have the multi-factor authentication requirement, so still we would require ADFS.
So why even you are using ADFS then?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
Let me ask this thing. Okay, what kind of the user will be there in the organization whom you would like to skip multi-factor authentication?
No one.
Yeah, ideally no, but I'm just
maybe until and unless they are not in the organization network, there is no point skipping that.
Right.
Right. Now, if I'm already in the organization network, you have the option, right, that you can skip multi-factor authentication. You can do that. But what I'm saying is that over here, the entire reason is that you are trusting their security so that people can log in. Clear? Now, I'll give you one example, guys. Guys, this portal.azure.com, right? What is the domain over here? Azure.com. What account I logged in with?
Hotmail.com.
Don't you think Microsoft is using ADFS in the background?
ADFS, yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now see this, guys, how this works. I'm going to portal.azure.com right now, okay? So it is going OAuth 2. See the token over here. There is a big token, right?
Right.
And what it is using? OpenID. You saw that, guys? OpenID connection, authentication over here, right? And there is a big token is getting generated over here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to utilize my credential, okay? I'm supplying my username.
Of Hotmail, actually. And it will,
of Hotmail, right?
It will make me access to Azure.
Right. And I'm just supplying the credential. See how the token is behaving now. The moment I'm going to say yes, see the token, guys. Keep an eye on the token. Federation.
Yes.
OAuth to MSA.
OAuth to MSA.
Microsoft account. It is federated to Microsoft account right now. What it is asking? Multi-factor authentication.
Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
And the moment I'm going to do that multi-factor authentication over here, keep an eye on the token, guys. How this particular token. Just keep an eye to this particular portion, what I have highlighted, okay? You will see hashes here. I'm going to put that particular code now. Keep an eye on the browser, guys, because it will be really quick. It will not take much time. Keep an eye.
Yeah, there was a hash.
Hash equals to SEFAAJU. Have you noticed, guys? It just pulled the hash and now I'm able to log in. Clear? So that exchange of the token is really quick over here, right? So Microsoft is also doing that. And the same is going to happen if you're going to use any third-party multi-factor authentication or federation, basically. So federation is nothing. It is just utilizing your own multi-factor authentication. This is expensive. Why? Because if you are implementing your own multi-factor authentication server, you just don't need to manage that particular server, but also you need to design the high availability to avoid a single point of failure. And in your domain controller, also you required an additional domain controller to avoid domain controller single point of failure. Clear, guys?
And additional administrators also. Yeah, resource.
Yep. Resources, people you will need to hire, right? Your help desk cost is going to increase, other operational cost as well, right? But in a nutshell, why we have a ADFS requirement? I hope, guys, everybody is now able to understand this. Anybody who is not able to follow this? All good? Guys, following everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, guys, in order to see this, right, what we will going to do now, right? We will going to implement, now password has synchronization. Now, the thing is, we are not going to purchase any particular third-party domain. We will going to use a dummy domain. Okay. Give me a good name, guys, for the domain. What is the today's date? 25th May.com. Okay.
Okay.
Papa.com.
That's fine, guys. 25th May.com. Okay. Today is the date 25th. So we have utilized this particular domain name, right?
Okay.
This is my domain and I want my machine to be a domain controller on this particular domain, right? So just like your on-premises environment, I'm creating a virtual machine over here. So this is kind of your on-premises. Okay. I'm utilizing Azure VM for that. This you can create on the on-premises as well, but I would suggest not to do so if you already have a free account. Guys, do we know how to create a free account, all of us?
I have created that already.
Anybody who's not aware, let me know. I'll just tell you how to do that.
I haven't do that.
Okay. Guys, this is for the people who are not aware about it. Okay. Just go to the browser in the incognito, type free account. Okay.
Okay.
Now, or Azure free account. Okay. Just mention Azure free account. It will ask you Azure free account today. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you already have a outlook.com account, hotmail.com account, click on a start free. If you don't, create one. Go to www.outlook.com or hotmail.com and create one account over here. Okay. Because this is what we are using, right? So currently I have already logged in with the Rishabh account, right? So it is going over there, but you have to create one. Clear?
Yeah.
Guys, are we able to follow all of us?
So is it mandatorily we should have the Microsoft
account? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say if I will go to outlook.com, you will be creating an account over there with outlook.com or hotmail.com. Let me open a in private browser, guys, so that it will ask for creation of the account. Okay. So over here, you have this option, create a free account. Click on create a free account. This is you are creating outlook.com account. Okay. Choose your choice of the domain, whether it is a outlook.com or a hotmail.com, whatever you feel like. This is a drop down. You have hotmail.com domain as well. Create that account. Right. I hope everybody is aware how to create an account, guys. You have created many accounts in the past. You all have everybody have the account. Okay. Once you are able to do so, click on start free. The moment you will do start free, it will ask you to sign in. It will ask you to provide your first name, last name, and the phone number, address, and your social security number and PAN. Guys, social security number, PAN, VAT ID, these are optional. Clear, guys? For me, it is going to throw the error. You already have the active subscription. You are not eligible for free account. Why? Because guys, everybody who is helping you doing the test drive of the car, basically they want you to purchase the car. Clear? Microsoft is giving you $200 for free, right? But if you already have a subscription, Microsoft is not going to give you the dollars for free because they are aware that you guys are familiar with the Azure. Clear?
Yeah.
What it is doing right now, sign up for pay as you go, which is a paid subscription. Why? Because Microsoft understood I already have a free account. So what it is saying, a free account is only available for a new users. Okay. Okay, guys. So if you are a new user, right, you need to provide your first name, last name, as social security number, VAT ID, your PAN. These are optional. You don't have to give that. Okay. There is no mandatory tag on that when you get that particular page. Okay. The only thing that you need to keep in mind, your phone number has to be correct. Why? Because after 14 days, Microsoft will ask you to configure multi-factor authentication. Clear? This account is valid for 30 days. So provide your phone number correctly so that you should not be losing the access after 14 days. Clear? Rest of the information, you can put anything. The only information it will ask for the credit card details. That credit card, initially you can give your credit card. After 30 days, if you need to activate again, create any particular account with any different name. Use your wife's credit card, or if you have more than one, provide that information. Okay, activate another one for another $200. Clear, guys? So $200, 30 days is way enough, because I use $100, and trust me, guys, I'm able to run all the trainings that I conduct, and I conduct around 6 to 7 trainings every month. So I'm not even able to use $100, guys. Even if you check my subscription right now, I'm able to only use up to probably $60 maybe. And this is about to expire in another 13-14 days, right? So $200 is way enough. Just make sure once you are done with the practical, you should be deleting your resources. Clear? So that it will not run in the background and cost you at that point of time when you are not even using them. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
All of us clear how to activate it, guys? Everybody?
Yeah. So same credit card or mobile number cannot be associated with two different
Absolutely.
email account.
Now, phone number is fine. Credit card should be different, guys, and always use incognito window. So Microsoft should not know that who is coming back again, right?
Yeah.
$85 remaining, guys, $10, right? So what I do, I delete the resources after the implementation. Okay.
Yeah.
Clear with everybody, guys? Okay, let's
Just a
get started.
question. Where did you see that dashboard of remaining amount left?
Just click on subscription. For you, you don't have to do that, guys. You can just directly see that information in the subscription itself, right?
Okay, we
For
click on
it will be showing for you here, right? But as I'm using Azure Pass, there is a URL, and here check your balance. Okay, you don't have to do that.
Okay.
For you, it will be directly showing because it's a free account, right? So it will be directly showing here your billing. Click, guys.
Did you say the phone number, does it have to be the same if you want to create multiple accounts, like, you know, after 30 days, the first one expired, you want to create another one?
Credit card
The phone
information
number-
has to be different.
But the phone number can be the same, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, guys, coming back. All right, guys, so I'm creating a virtual machine right now. So I'm selecting my subscription. I'm creating a resource group over here. Let's say I'm going to give the name RG. And here I'm going to give my machine name. Let's say call this machine as a on-prem VM. Clear, guys? And I'm creating this machine in the East US location. So Microsoft has multiple data center across the location. You can see the list over here. And depending on your business requirement, which particular region you would like to create the resource, you can do that. Okay. I'm creating a Windows Server 2016 machine. Okay. And in order to access this machine, I'm supplying my credentials. So let's say I've given my username over here and the password. And here I'm going to enable the RDP so that I can access this machine. Clear, guys? And rest I'm going with the default value. In the background, Microsoft is helping me creating a network and a subnet. So this machine will have the public and private IP both. Okay. So this RDP, I'm going to take it over the public IP. Now, what is the private IP, public IP concept? We're going to have a discussion in the networking part, right? So I'm not touching that piece at the moment because that will be a bigger discussion. Okay, guys, here you can see there is a network and a subnet is getting created and there is a public IP is getting ready over here, which will give me the RDP access. Okay, guys, meanwhile, this is getting created. One more information, guys, this password write back you can only use if in case you have premium P1 and premium P2 account. Clear, guys? Are we able to follow? Yes, no, maybe,
Okay.
guys.
Yeah.
Right. What is your license for? User enhancement capability, right? Hybrid sync is a feature. It's a functionality. Password write back is a functionality, right? So it comes only in the premium P1 and premium P2 license. If you want to compare that which license your organization need depending what feature and the functionality you are utilizing, just mention Microsoft Entra ID license over here. Okay. The moment you do, the first link will be coming over Microsoft Entra ID license. You can compare the feature and the functionality, whether you are looking for self-service password reset, right? SMS authentication method over here, right? And you can compare. Clear? Okay. So what all feature and the functionality you would like to utilize for, you can pick that particular functionality. Remember guys, conditional access control was grayed out for me for the free account. Applicable for premium P1 and premium P2, but not for the free account. Clear? So depending on your requirement, you will pick the license over here. Clear guys?
So we cannot test or perform the hands-on for the AD Connect.
No, we can perform it, but password write back, we are not doing it. That you are changing the password, it will be syncing back. The syncing of the user we can see in the free account as well. This is what we are going to see now. Okay.
Okay.
So that is what we are up to. So I'm just going to my machine now. This machine is about to get ready. So I'm going into the connect option. I'm trying to connect to this particular machine over here. So either you can download the RDP file, guys, and you can run that file. It will prompt you for the username and the password. Or what you can do, you can copy the public IP from here. Okay. Open the run box. Type mst.sc. The moment you do
mst.sc.
The moment you will do over here, it will prompt for the public IP. Provide that public IP, guys, that you have over here, and click on connect. It will prompt for the username and the password. So whatever user and the password that you have given over there, right? Now, guys, minded this machine is not on domain at the moment, right? We will promote this machine on a domain. So this credential that you are providing, this is a profile user. Okay. Because I have often seen people getting confused that whether domain, okay, this machine is not on domain right now. This is a work group machine. Yeah. So whomsoever will be the admin who will be logging in over here, they are logging in with the help of their usual profile account. Clear, guys? All good? Yes, no, maybe. Guys, did we not have the enough coffee or a snack over the lunch break? Or
yeah, this is not clear. Which account we are using to log in here?
Local admin account.
Local admin account. The account that you have created while creating the VM, right? I gave my name, right? Rishabh.
Yeah.
This is what I'm
okay.
using. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm in the machine now. Now what we need to do, we need to create this machine as a domain controller. Okay. So first thing first, guys, your ADDS service has to enable, right?
Yeah.
So what I need to do, I need to go to my server manager. In that particular server manager, I'm going to click on add roles and features. You see the first option over here, your server manager is getting ready. It will take a few more seconds, guys. Click on next. And here you have Active Directory domain services, right? You can click over here, add features. Going to click on next, 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 and install. Okay. So just like your diagram, guys.
What it will do, Rishabh?
Okay. So by default, your on-premises doesn't have the directory services enabled, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
So you are enabling that particular feature so that you should be capable of creating the users and promoting the machine on the domain. Clear, guys? Okay. So what we talked about initially, right? Let's see that particular diagram. In the very beginning, when we were doing the comparison on the on-premises side, right? What we were mentioning that you required ADDS service, and then you need to promote that particular machine on domain. And while promoting, it will help you creating anti-ds.dit directory, which will have that particular credential. Okay, so during the installation, you can see anti-ds getting installed.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So This is in the installation process at the moment over here. And let me copy the domain name, guys, 𝗘𝘅𝗰𝗹𝘂𝗀𝗶𝗃𝗀𝗀𝗃. Okay. So I'm going to copy this particular name and I want this particular machine to be promoted on that particular name. So meanwhile, guys, the service is getting installed. You can simply see that this machine is a work group machine. This is not a domain machine, right? How we attach any computer on a domain? By going into the setting, going to click on change over here. And if you already have a domain controller, you can select this and you can provide that domain.com. Your machine will be connected to that domain. But we don't have a domain controller. We are creating our first domain controller, guys. Clear? So yeah, what we need to do over here is
promote it as a DC. First.
Right. So this installation has been completed now. There is a prompt over here, right?
Yeah.
Click on that notification. What it says, promote this server to a domain controller right now. Yeah. So I'm going to click on that particular option. Now, guys, your first domain controller always be a new forest. First one. Okay. So this is we are creating for the very first time, right? So we're going to click on add a new forest. I'm going to give the name 25thMay.com. Okay. I'm going to click on next over here. For the security reason that this activity is being conducted by human, right? And it will ask your directory services restore mode that, okay, if somebody need to take any action, what credential they will be using for the authentication. So you need to create that credential. Clear, guys? Just like you are purchasing a new lock. So when you purchase a new house, you have a door, but for the security, you create a locking mechanism. This is what you are doing right now, that whomsoever need to make any changes, they will be supplying this particular credential over here. So let me create one. And I'm going to click on next. So I'm not creating any DNS delegation because usually DNS delegation comes into the picture if you're creating an additional domain controller. Okay, because you are already having a DNS created. Currently, we are going with a default installation over here. So just proceed with the next. So it has taken that particular name, 25th May over here as your domain name and your net BIOS. Now you can see, guys, NTDS is in the process of creating that particular folder for your database folder where there will be hashes and your log files. Okay. Sysvol is nothing, but it's a location where whenever you create any policies on the on-premises, right, it will be creating a script in the background. That script will be stored in the system volume. So the full form of the sysvol is system volume, guys. Okay. So that is a separate folder. So any problem happen in your GPOs, right, group policies, that is the folder that your guys will be looking into. Anyways, guys, we don't need to worry about this. We just need to proceed with the installation process over here. Now this particular machine is going to restart once this domain controller will be completing the entire installation process. So now this becomes just like your on-premises domain controller, guys. Now, meanwhile, this is getting done. I have a question for you all. Guys, in order to install this particular domain controller, we required a local admin, right? Who was the local admin over here? Rishabh, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are we all able to follow till here, right? But guys, yes, when you want to create a sync from your on-premises to the cloud, you also need an approval from the cloud admin as well. Yes or no?
Yeah, right.
Right? Because who is approving this particular sync? Otherwise, anybody can create sync with any particular tenant. Don't you think it's a security breach? Yes or no?
Right.
Right? Yes. So the way you have a local admin who will going to say that, okay, I'm going to download AD Connect and I would like to create a sync. Okay, guys, installation has been completed. Your machine is going to get rebooted automatically. Okay. So let's leave it. It will going to take its own sweet time, 3 to 4 minutes. Because there will be some installation happening for the domain. So that will going to run in the background. So I'm going to leave that machine as it is. Okay. We're going to log in 5 minutes. Now let's understand the mechanism now. So guys, whenever you will be authenticating from the on-premises, your local admin has authenticated, right? So whenever you will download AD Connect, so once your machine is up, we will going to download AD Connect. Okay. And during the installation, it will ask about your Azure AD credentials. Now, who will be the person and what role that person should have in order to approve it? So the person that you will be there on the cloud should have either global admin role assigned, or either that person has to be hybrid identity administrator. Making sense, guys? All of us?
These are already existing roles.
It is there in the AD, Azure AD.
Okay.
Azure AD roles are there. Global administrator is there, right? Just like you have a super user on the on-premises, right? Azure have global administrator.
Okay.
It can do anything. Most powerful role that can be given, right?
Okay.
In the organization, there will be only 2 or 3 people like that, not more than that. Okay.
Okay.
Now, hybrid identity administrator, let's say I'm running my business in multiple countries. Let's say in India, I have a separate tenant. In US, I have a separate tenant, right? Though it is, let's say Wipro.com or Citrix.com, right? But let's say Citrix is running in multiple countries, they will be creating the tenants accordingly, right? Now, the thing is, in that many location, I cannot create that many global administrators, right? So what I will do, I will assign hybrid identity administrator role. Okay. So let's create a user and let's give that particular role to that particular user. Making sense, guys, all of us?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to create a hybrid identity administrator who will be capable of approving this particular synchronization process. So I'm going into the Azure AD.
Rishabh, you will be creating a user on
Azure
Azure
AD.
Active Directory rather
Correct.
than on the ADDS, right?
ADDS you already have, Rishabh, right?
That is a local domain.
So that will be authenticating, right? That is controlling everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So
Yeah,
that
because of the authentication, you are giving one admin on the cloud and one as the local one.
right,
Okay.
right. See, that is the use case in your organization.
Got it.
Because see, if you keep a same user, what if tomorrow that user gets compromised? Who will going to control that user? You got the point?
Right.
So whenever we run any particular business, right, we only give one powerful role to that particular person, not more than one.
Right.
If there is a network administrator, you will not make them DevOps administrator. Clear? Because what if there is a problem happening? So in the same way, this Rishabh is a local admin, and on the cloud, let's create a administrator over here. Let's give a name, guys. Let's keep a name. Let's say Kevin. Okay. Kevin Cook. Okay. So let's say this is your Azure AD hybrid administrator, hybrid identity administrator. So let's say Kevin is the person. So I'm creating this user over here.
This display name can be, with the spaces also. Display name.
Display name with the spaces as well. Let's see.
Yeah, no, not here, because this is the user principal name down. Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Display,
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
think there will be a problem. Yeah. Okay, guys. Now the job title I can mention, let's say identity or hybrid identity administrator, right? I'm giving the title right now. Assignment we will be doing here, right? So I'm going to click on add role assignment. Here, either you can assign global. You can see you have global administrator, or what we will be using hybrid, because you can assign global administrator to everybody, right? So this is the required role. And you have assigned this particular user. Now for the very first time, right? What user will do if a new user will be created? They will try to take the control of the account, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Whenever a new user, a new ID will be there, right? What they will ask
You
you
need to
to log in
access
with
it
the
first,
temp
right?
credential, and you
Yeah.
need to create your own password, right?
Yeah.
So what we will be doing now, we will going to the user. Where is Kevin? Do we see Kevin, guys?
Yeah, Kevin Cook.
Yeah, Kevin is there, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to copy the credential of the Kevin. And here I'm going to use this particular username. Now looking for the password. So either you can generate initial password, you can copy it during the creation itself, or you can come over here and you can click on reset. So this is the temp password which will be generated over here. You can copy this temp password. And let's say here I'm logging in as Kevin. Okay, so I'm using this particular temp password. It will immediately going to ask me to reset the password. So I'm going to provide my temp current password and I'm going to set up new password.
Why, Rishabh, why after @ you have, he has Rishabh 04 Singh.
What is a primary domain name, right? It will give you a default domain name, right?
Yeah,
When you create a tenant, right, what I mentioned, right, what it will do, it will remove your special character and give you a primary domain on .onmicrosoft.com, right? So my domain name itself is a Rishabh 04 Singh @onmicrosoft.com.
Yeah, okay.
Clear? All the users are on that only, not just this one. Anything that I will be creating as a user, right? This is a default name.
Yeah.
But later you can change them.
You can bring your own custom domain and you can create your requirement.
Yeah, later you can change them.
Yeah, not a problem.
And you have so many users. We can delete the users.
Why not? Permanently delete it.
Okay.
The more training I give, I end up creating more users, right? Every time there's a new unique user. I'm running out of the names, guys. Kevin Cook, who gave this name, guys? Yeah, so. All right, guys, coming back. So here, I'm going to create this user. I'm not setting up multi-factor authentication, guys. You can set up if you want. Just click on next. It will have a barcode. Download Authenticator app on your cell phone, and you can do that. Okay. So Kevin Cook ID has been verified, right? User can log in now. That is fine. So I have an active user, Kevin Cook. We will use that user. Okay. So I'm going to copy that user and keep it over here, right? Because we need that user in a while. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go back to your machine, guys. Your machine has been promoted on a domain controller now. So what we need to do now? Download AD Connect, guys. Okay. And before that, we also need to create a user which you would like to see after the sync. Your on-premises doesn't have a user yet.
So that user will be created on on-prem.
On-premises, right?
You will create.
Right. Okay. I'm right now creating right now.
Yeah.
Rishabh, this public IP keeps on changing?
Changing? No. Until
okay,
if you want, right? It depends. Okay. While creating a public IP, you can decide whether it's a static or dynamic. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have two kinds of the public IPs. We'll talk more on the public IPs in the networking, but just for your information, you have two kinds of the public IPs. One is your basic SKU and another one is your standard. Okay. So basic has an option to have a dynamic or the static, but if you're creating a standard public IP, it always have a static public IP. It is not going to change. Clear? So depending on your requirement, right? Now, why standard are more likely to be utilized? Because standard support high availability. Okay, basic does not. Okay, so we'll talk about availability zone, availability set in the networking. I'll tell you about the high availability concept, how you will check the SLA, what will be the mechanism, availability zone, availability set, right? So just an information that if you're creating a standard public IP, it will be zone redundant. That even at the failure of the data center or the zone level failure, that public IP remain uninterrupted. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a separate concept. We're going to talk about it. Okay. So currently it is a static in nature, what I have used at the moment. All right, guys, coming back. So we are in the domain controller. Hopefully your machine have the domain now. So what you can do, you can just quickly go back to your this PC and go to the properties. And you can see your machine now promoted on 25thMay.com. Okay.
Yeah.
Now what we need to do, we need to go into the tools, users and computers. And in users and computers, I'm going into my directory. You can see over here in the directory, I'm going into my user section and I'm going to right click over here and I'm going to click on new. And what we are creating, guys, a user. Okay. All right. Let's pick a name over here. Okay. So let's say we have a lady named April on the on-premises. Let's say April Anderson. Okay. So this is the person. What we are trying to do, we are trying to bring this particular person from the on-premises to the cloud. So I'm creating this person on the on-premises VM. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to click on next over here now. And you can go ahead and click on next. Okay, guys. So you can see your user is now available over here, right? And the same directory you also have Rishabh, right? Which is built-in account, as you can see the account type, right? And what is this particular account over here? This is a user type. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, what we want to do, we want to bring this particular April to the cloud, right? So if you go back to your Azure AD, you will find there is no user with the name April at the moment. Yeah. Now there is an option called on-premises sync status. So if I'll be going into the user section over here, guys, are we all able to follow till here? All of us? What about the rest of the participants? All good? Following, guys?
Yeah.
Everybody? Yeah. All right, guys. Now, guys, you see over here we have option on-premises sync. So whatever user you have created on the cloud directly, right? This status will always be no, because it is not an on-premises, right? You remember this Kevin that we have created, right?
Right.
Where the Kevin was created in Azure,
On
this
cloud.
status is showing no,
It will not
right?
sync there, yeah.
It has not been synced, right? April is not there yet.
Right.
Right? There is no April.
But when April will come, it will be yes.
It will be yes.
on-premises
As you
sync
can
and
see,
enable.
this Alejandro Hall that I have used the name, right? You see this particular user, Anthony Evans,
Right.
Anuj Gupta, right? These are we created on the on-premises as a part of the lab. Okay, you see all this, right? Services. Anyways, guys. So what we will going to do, guys, now, guys, we need to download Google Chrome or the Edge. Why? Because IE Explorer has been expired. You can't download AD Connect using Internet Explorer. Okay. So what you need to do, first of all, go to the server manager, turn off IE enhancement security configuration. This option, this feature. Why? Because it will continue to ask use any unique URL as a safe URL. So if you don't want multiple prompts, right, turn this off. Clear, guys? So this will avoid a lot of hiccups downloading Google Chrome over here. So I'm just going to open this. Otherwise, it will say save this URL, allow this URL, each and every, right? Because even if you type google.com, it will be redirection, right? So there will be multiple URLs in between that it will continue to ask you to allow this URL as a safe URL. So I'm just avoiding that so that I can directly open google.com.
Why they are still shipping Internet Explorer when they have already discarded?
Sorry, can you go back again and do that?
Sure. Here.
Okay, thank
you. Yeah. IE enhancement security configuration, right? Click on over here, turn it off.
They should start shipping now for Edge. Right?
Edge is there, right? I'm just downloading Google Chrome because people are mostly familiar with it, right? I've seen people having a struggle using Edge and configuring it. So just avoiding that.
Okay, so Edge is already there, you mean?
Edge is already there. Look for Edge. It is there. They have started providing Edge.
Okay.
Even if you download Google to Chrome, they will say that to set Edge as a default browser. So Edge is there, guys. Edge is there by default. Not a problem.
Oh, okay.
This is what we are downloading on VM.
On the VM,
Cloud?
right? See, wait. When you say cloud, right? We know the VM is in Azure, right? But why we created that VM? Just to showcase your on-premises. Okay. So that VM is on the cloud, but currently this VM is representing your on-premises Roman controller. Clear?
On-premises, yes. Yes.
Right. So that VM is definitely on the cloud. It's running inside my subscription, but currently it is an on-premises VM. Yeah.
Only very basic question. How it got the internet? It is just a new VM.
It's a
by default, huh?
By default,
Okay.
there. Azure will allow that particular connectivity. We'll talk in the networking section.
Okay.
Right. So there are by default network security group tools which allows that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's unlike AWS.
AWS
networking is slightly complex. It's not worth it. Right, because the thing is,
Right.
then you have a concept of the NACL that IGW will be there for the public and then private IP. It's unnecessary complexity, right? If you want to create a VM, what's a VM without a connectivity? What it will be doing? Nothing. So why you need to create that kind of a mechanism? Who want to do that? Okay, I'm creating a machine, but I don't want this machine to connect anywhere else, right? So that is unnecessary. So here you are going to download AD Connect over here. And you can download over here from now. And I'm going to initiate the installation of your AD Connect.
Is Azure AD Connect the same as Entra Connect?
Huh?
Why did they keep changing these names?
Because
No,
Microsoft loves to keep on changing and updating stuff.
But
See, guys.
interconnect is different, right?
See, understand one thing, guys. Okay. We have a concept called rebranding, right? You like iPhone 15, guys? All of us? Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell me 5 difference between iPhone 14 and 15?
Nothing.
Okay, guys. See,
Perhaps
see,
just the camera or the
right. Maybe there is another camera. Maybe the
processor,
camera
a
will be
bit of a
enhanced, basically,
processor,
right?
that's it.
Right. Processes will be different over here. So, guys, everybody brings a new version, right? Your Mac does the same thing. Remember, guys, Macintosh have the, this Mountain Lion, and then you have different version of the operating. Yosemite was there, right? And accordingly, they continue to change the operating system version. So it's a rebranding, guys. They come with new enhanced feature. They will say, okay, I'm just going to change it the different name so that there will be different, right? And they keep on having an interesting name, right?
So is it also called Intra Connect
ID Connect,
as well?
right.
Okay.
AD Connect, Enter ID Connect, right? So it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, coming back. So here you have this express setting. Express setting will come into the picture if you want to use something which is already you have configured over here. It gives you that particular choice, right? But let's say I don't want to use it. Okay, it is directly asking you for the ADDS. But currently we are not looking for that. What we are trying to do, we are trying to configure it, right? So just go with the customize option. Now in the customize, there are many organizations who don't want to keep the user in the NTDS folder. They may want to keep it inside a SQL server. There are different requirements, right? Currently, we are not going with any customized requirement. You see, guys, custom installation. If you have a database running on this server, you can also keep these users inside that particular database. We are not doing that. Neither we are importing anything. So we are just proceeding with the installation process. Okay, once you do the installation process, right, what it is going to do, it will going to ask you what you would like to proceed with. Password has synchronization, PTA, federation, ping federation. There are options available. Okay. So what we will be utilizing, password has synchronization. Okay. So it will take a few more seconds. All right, guys, you have this authentication method available, right? So currently we are going with password has synchronization. If you're looking for enable single sign-on, you can check this particular box. Okay. You can click on next over here. What it is asking right now, guys? Either global admin credential or either hybrid identity administrator credential to authenticate, right? So who is our hybrid identity administrator? Kevin. Yeah. So we're going to supply that user credential over here.
So Rishabh, this user sign in, we can select only one option, either password hash synchronization or PTI or.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. Okay.
I have a question, Rishabh, please. Can I? You selected the option of single sign-on, right? I understand this is a new, like this is for the new environment if you are syncing the DC, okay?
What if you have not
scenario,
enabled initially and later on you would like to do so? That
or
is the
later
question.
on in the
Yes, you
jobs,
can.
it requires that please
You
know
can
how
do
to
that.
do the SSO. So how do we do it once it is already created? Please let us know once you complete
Not a
that.
problem.
Yeah.
Come
Thank
back to your AD, run the domain, this AD Connect once again, right?
Again.
And
Okay.
enable it.
Oh, okay. That's
Let
it.
me ask this thing, okay? I'm setting up the organization. Initially, my solution architect thought that it is not required. 3 years down the line, it is required. I can enable it. It's a feature, right? If it is not enabled, I would like to enable later on. What's the problem?
Okay, once we will complete this, I just need to know that how we will go back to this option, or where can we see the
Okay, AD
option.
Connect you have installed, right? So it is running as an application. Okay, I will run this again. I will go to that particular place. I will check that box. Job done.
And we can uncheck as well, right?
Huh?
Other way. Okay.
If it is not needed,
Okay.
just remove it. See, you can play around with these settings, guys. Currently, I started with password has synchronization. My company says, oh, this was a problem. Just change it to password has synchronization. I can come back and do that. Not a problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Click on next.
Okay, one question.
Hmm?
If my virtual machine is not in Azure, it's in cloud.com, can I do that? And if this is going to have a cost?
Sorry, guys. Come again. I didn't get it.
Okay. Now you have this virtual machine created on the portal Azure. I run in several virtual machines, different, servers.
Environments.
So I can do this for that virtual machine that are in the other servers.
If it is not domain joined, if it is not domain joined, it is a workgroup machine. Yes, you can do that. I just want to know what context you are asking this question.
Just yeah, because I run in a lot of services, different virtual machine, but they are not in Portal Azure. They are in different.
Okay.
For example, if they're on VMware or Hyper-V, if there is a server which is on Hyper-V or VMware, so that is on premises, exactly what you did it, the VM on Azure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whoever is asking, my dear, you have to install this AD Connect on that server in the VMware machine or Hyper-V, and then you run the same thing. I don't know if that was what your question.
No, his question was that can I do it in Azure if I would like to run this machine? The answer is yes, you can do that. He's not asking.
This is going to have a cost?
Yes, it will going to have a cost, right? This machine is running. You are utilizing the compute of the machine, isn't it? Machine will have a size, the disk size that it will be blocking for you, right? So cost will be there, guys. What happened over here? Why it is asking the password again? Really? Verified? Okay, guys, there must be some typo. Yeah, it's able to verify the credential over here. Examining the domain. Okay, this is done now.
Yeah.
Now you will going to click on add directory. And here you will going to say create a AD account. Why? Because we are doing it for the first time. But let's say if you're creating an additional domain controller, you can also utilize existing account. Clear? So currently we are creating it from the scratch. So click on create a new AD account. What was our AD account, guys? What was the username?
Hybrid identity admin.
No. This is your local account, right? Hybrid identity you authenticated few seconds back, right? Kevin credential we just provided.
So which account this now we need to create?
Rishabh's account, local AD, right?
Okay, local to, okay.
What I'm saying is you planned your vacation to the another country. Let's say you are going to Portugal, right? So you have a Portugal visa. That is Kevin. That verified, right? But from your airport, it has to be verified, right?
Yeah.
So this is your local. Yeah, go on.
Rishabh is already the existing account, right?
From the machine, right? So one is saying that, okay, I'm okay to sync. But is it been allowed from your local or not? This is the approval from the local. Clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was the name, guys, of the domain?
25th May.
May.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it case sensitive? Not sure, guys. Let's see. Okay. It has already made it capital. Okay. 25thMay.com/Rishabh and the password which you have utilized in the beginning while creating the virtual machine. Verified, guys?
Yeah.
You have selected this directory, that okay, from local, this directory is now allowed to sync with Azure AD. Kevin has already approved it. Now you are going with the next.
So this approval is only one time, right?
One time in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You can go ahead and click on it. Then the sync process will be on. Every 30 minutes, it will be syncing automatically. So any user you will going to create on the on-premises, if you have selected that folder, any user will be getting created inside that particular folder or in that particular directory, it will continue to sync. Okay. If you want to select specifically, you can utilize second option. You can decide.
Okay. And where is this scheduling is configured every 30 minutes?
It's default 30 minutes. This is by Microsoft.
Okay.
If you want to enforce, you can go to the AD sync. You can do the force sync as well. Okay.
Okay. And can we change that to from 30 to 1 hour as well?
No. 30 is default. If you want to enforce that, you can do.
Okay.
What difference it will going to make? 30 to 1 hour. It's basically going to cause more delay.
Yeah, I'm just asking if is it configurable or not.
If you want, just you can create a script for that. Just check if what authentication. But what I'm saying is, what's the need?
Yeah, there is no need, but just for my curiosity, I was
you can
actually asking.
Not a problem. Anything which is allowing the collaboration with any scripting, you can create a PowerShell script. If that can be scheduled or you can change it, because usually in the on-premises, this is a job done by the PDC emulator, right? For the syncing of the credential and the timing, etc. Right? But as this is only thing that you want to sync on the cloud, right? So whatever user that you will be creating, in what respective that a new hire will require so immediate that it required within 30 minutes on the cloud.
Yeah,
it's a new hire. Right?
No, usually they ask you to wait for a while.
It's fine. Okay, guys.
I think so. They only close the ticket by the time it is approved.
So they will only
the
say
ticket goes to IT. Yeah, they never do
that
it so
IT will
quickly.
only give you the confirmation after 30 minutes only.
Exactly.
Once they check that okay, this user is showing, now go ahead and check it.
And this configuration, can we see somewhere, Rishabh, that it is configured like 30 minutes here or something like
that? It's in the Microsoft document, guys.
Okay.
Microsoft document says that it will be done every 30 minutes, right? What else confirmation you require?
No. I just just
there is no
to know the place where is that
what
place?
I'm saying is it's a default feature. There is no scheduler.
Okay.
Microsoft run that particular thing. If Microsoft allowed that people to alter, right? Huge problem can happen, right? See, the more access you give to the end user, okay, let me ask this thing. Microsoft is running 100 services in the background, but in the document, Microsoft only give that information what user need to utilize that particular service. Right? Two reasons, it's a competitive world. Another thing, a lot of goof-ups can happen if Microsoft give that control to the manual, right? So they keep it to themselves. Okay. All right, guys, coming back. So you see, guys, this password write back, right? So if you are looking for this particular functionality, just enable it. But the only thing is you require premium P1 or premium P2 license. Now, guys, if you don't have that license, if you want to purchase one, you have this particular option available, license, right? You can click on the license over here. You have this option for manage all products. You can purchase that particular license. Try and buy. You can purchase it. Premium P2. Clear? And you can activate. I have already activated. It will be only there for 30 days. And from 6 months back onwards, Microsoft has stopped providing free licenses, guys. Okay. This premium P2 30 days trial. It's no longer in there. They are only giving this functionality to custom domain users. That the people who are already running a business, basically. So if I try to activate right now, right, it will ask me to sign up with a license first. So a person supposed to have at least E3 license, see guys. Okay. So it will be paid. So don't use it. Use the free account over here. This password write back. If you have an organization need, if you have a premium P2 license, where you can verify this information of the premium P2 license, this password reset option. Okay. In the password reset option, you can configure how people should be able to reset their own password, right? You remember, guys, security questions?
Yeah.
So who can change their password, and before changing the password, whether they need to perform multi-factor authentication via mobile or via office phone, or whether they need to set up security questions, right? You can set up these mechanisms. But if you want people to reset the password and able to sync, enable password write back, and you can see password write back in your on-premises integration option. You can see it over here actually. But currently what it is saying, insufficient privileges. Why? Because we don't have a
Right.
premium P1, either premium P2 license. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
All right, guys.
It,
Coming back.
To configure these like notifications using the email or the mobile
It is
number.
there already. It is there. You can do that.
Okay, but do we need to do any specific thing, or it will automatically detect your email ID and send the notification?
No. See, guys, one thing is there. You have this option called AD Connect, right? Microsoft Entra ID Connect. Here you can set this particular notification, right? You have this particular clause saying connectivity, right? So let's say this is my Connect Sync service. Here I can come over here. Here I have this particular health and analytics. Let's say the sync is causing any issues, any particular challenges happen, right? Here you can configure. With the sync error, you have the notification setting, right? But again, premium P1, premium P2 is needed. Okay, Microsoft is not giving this for free. This required. Okay, notification setting. Here you can mention the DL. Maybe probably your NOC team DL or any monitoring team DL you can give. Or a shared mailbox URL. Yeah. All right, guys. So currently this installation is going on. Active Directory synchronization account. And once this will be completed, right, you should be able to see that. So it is configuring your single sign-on now.
Yeah, because we selected that option.
Yeah. Configuring Microsoft Azure Active Directory sync now. So guys, it will hardly going to take 2 to 3 more minutes. The user that we created on the on-premises, what was the name, guys? April Anderson, right? Yeah. So we will see that particular user, right? Now it is updating. Now, configuring it over here, you can see this particular service coming into the picture. You see, guys? AD sync.
Yeah.
You can see that synchronization status over here. It will do the full import. It will do the full synchronization and full export. That is how it's synced. Though it is enabling password write-back, but as Azure is not allowing it in the free license, it won't work. Installing Microsoft Entra Connect Health Agent. So few minutes back, the screen that what we saw, right, in the sync errors and those kind of, right? So this is the service which will provide that information, whether UPN mismatch or any particular kind of the issues that you will be facing, right? It will keep an eye on that.
Sir, what's a UPN?
There is a ID, right? On the on-premises, when you create any particular user, UID, right?
Achha, UID, yes.
UID,
yes.
yep.
Yes.
Did I say UPN, right? Sorry about that. Not the UPN as UID.
Okay.
Yeah, UPN is user principal name. Yeah, it's kind of this looks like email format.
SPN, the name and the Azure,
right.
Now here you can see, guys, the synchronization process is doing the full import, then it will do the full synchronization and it will do the full export over here. Okay, as you can see right now. Now let's say I need to do this particular process of my own. Maybe I would like to do the delta sync. Not everything I would like to sync, maybe only the new that I have created something over here. You can go to the action. You have this particular run option. You can select your directory over here. Let's say I would like to do the full export or data import over here. And then I would run it on the Azure AD. You can follow the same order.
What is that delta import and delta sync?
Delta import will be, let's say you created 5,000 already, right? Now I have created 5 more users, right? And I'm only looking for the syncing for those 5 users, not
5
everything.
only. Okay.
Right. So delta.
Yeah, incremental.
Yep. Not delta, only that 5. Incremental will be again including that 5, right? So 5,005 users will be targeting, right? Okay.
Yeah, actually, that is also, you know, kind of same. Incremental means it will take from the last change and how many objects are updated on the
But it will,
those.
okay, see, think about search process, okay? It will go for all the 5,000 users, right? And then it will try to answer delta. So automatically the search will take longer than comparatively to the direct delta that you have, right? So better to go with the delta if you're looking for something new.
Okay.
Yep. Coming back, guys. So as you can see, guys, this process has been completed. Now this is the time that we would like to check that whatever we have done so far is working fine or not. Okay, so we are looking for that user that we created over here. You see April, guys?
Not yet. Go down.
Not yet. Let me refresh.
No, it's alphabetically, right?
Oh,
AN.
sorry,
So
my
just go
bad.
down.
April edition is there, guys.
Yes, yes.
And this on-premises sync status is showing yes.
Yes.
Clear, guys?
Yes, right.
Quite quick, right? Immediately it was able to sync.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
All right, guys. So that's all for today, guys.
Sorry.
Go on, please.
Now coming back to my question, because you already implemented the AD Connect. Sync is happening. If you need to make any changes, we will go back to Azure AD Connect
AD
again.
Connect. Go to the AD Connect, run the AD Connect, change that particular setting, open that particular box.
It will go the same for, okay, just see that. Okay, it will go to the same thing again, whole. Okay, and then we can make the changes wherever we
Select
want.
which particular point that you would like to make the changes. Okay, I will go ahead and click on next over here. I will go for that particular stage.
For example, if you can go back.
Customize the synchronization option. I would like to change, authenticate again, do the changes.
Authenticate, and then it will follow the same steps, and then I can make the changes on it.
Make the
Okay,
changes.
got it, sir. I just wanted to see that once it is implemented, does it look any different, or is it go
No,
through
it is the same
steps?
thing only. This is what I mentioned, right? You don't need to worry. It's a checkbox that you just.
Okay.
All right, guys. I'm just closing this particular window. Okay. Any further question, guys? Did we follow the process? I hope you got some understanding how this actually works. Yeah. And on what basis?
Just a lot of information, Rishabh. Just a lot of information on one single day. I realize that some folks
memorize.
Right.
No,
I understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Are there matching PowerPoint decks that kind of walk through the same?
It's there on the portal, guys. We created a beautiful portal for you. Go over there, log into your training portal, look for that information. You will have a theoretical data as well. And you have step-by-step guides where the steps will be available. You can follow that step as well. So nothing, or you will have a recording as well, guys. If you're not very much familiar, you can just replay, go back to the time, see how I have selected it, right? So don't need to worry about that. Okay. Something which comes with the practice, do not try to memorize. In the K21Academy portal, guys. Okay.
Okay, and when it will be available?
So this recording will be available by tomorrow, what we learned today, right? So SLA is 24 hours. It will be uploaded. And in the portal, you have a step-by-step guides available, right? So that is something that you can follow. Okay. And anything what we have talked about, right? The documentation part, that explanation is also there. So if you want to go back to that, and the best way, let's say I don't want to go for it. Let's say I'm using my cell phone. I don't have my credential handy for the K21, right? Azure AD docs. The first link, Microsoft has also done a good job, right, with the documentation. So let's say the first link that I'm targeting, get this started. What you would like to understand? Authentication. Click over here. Microsoft Entra ID authentication process. Password reset, multi-factor authentication. What you would like to understand? Let's say I would like to know about PTA. Azure Docs. The first link, Microsoft Entra pass-through authentication method. How it works? There is a video as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Run that particular video. Whatever I have mentioned, they are also telling the same thing. Okay. But with very faster rate. Here you have this particular diagram as well. Right. So whatever I have explained, this is the same thing, but slightly complex to understand. Right. So I just try to keep it as simple as it is. Right. Key benefits points are available. Right. What is the requirement over here? And also they are talking about the network requirement. So we're going to talk about network requirement in upcoming, right? They are saying outbound connection. So allow HTTPS communication, because anything on the cloud will be working over the HTTPS. Step by step, guys, everything that you would like to look for.
Yeah. So Rishabh, it will be weekly, right? Only on the weekends.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. This particular session is going to happen on Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow there won't be a session. Reason being, I'm going to close one batch tomorrow. Okay. There is a last session happening. Okay. So that will be ended. And from next week onwards, this particular training will be Saturday and Sunday. Okay. So it will be over the weekends, Saturday and Sunday from next week. This week, it was for Saturday only. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Any further
Saturday,
questions?
Sunday,
All good?
4 hour each, 4 hour each day.
4 hours each day. Yeah.
Okay, it will be very
Very
overloaded.
See, guys, let me tell you one thing. Okay, you do the things at your own rate, at your own pace, with your own convenience, right? When you will be in the
Right.
class, you will always going to learn something new. So there is no push that you have to grab everything right now. No, not like that. Okay. Learning doesn't come with the pressure. Learning comes with the implementation. Implementation takes time. Okay. Be consistent. Rather try to pile up everything that I will do it on weekend and you don't know what is going to come up and waiting for you over the weekend. Better to give 1 hour each day. I'm not asking you to give 5 hours, 20 hours. Do not sleep. Let's compromise your sleep time. No, not like that. I understand family is important. Your work-life balance is important. You have office hours. You may have production implementation waiting for you. A lot of things can happen. Just take out 1 hour from your entire busy schedule because not all the days are busy. And let's say if you have lesser busy day, invest more than 1 hour. We have 5 working days. 5 hours is more than enough. Anything that your trainer is explaining and implementing, I need more time than you. Okay. You are just revising and implementing, right? So that will not take 8 hours of a study. It will just take only the step-by-step implementation. 5 to 6 hours a week study is more than enough. Clear, guys? Do not push yourself. Don't be hard because what happened, consistency comes with something that you enjoy. If you're not enjoying, it means you will not be consistent because tomorrow you will find all the reason to procrastinate that. Don't do that. 1 hour each day is enough. Clear, guys? 1 or 2, depending on your comfort zone. Few people take less time to understand. They might be able to complete in 2 hours and 2.5 hours. Few people takes time, give that time. Okay. Anything which is making you uncomfortable because a lot of unknowns are there. The moment known pieces will be more, you are not uncomfortable anymore. Clear? So don't think much. Just block 1 hour time on daily basis. If you are not doing the lab, read something. Okay, but read time should not be more. Try to spend more time on the implementation. I'm there. Give you all theoretical information before implementation. Okay. So now if you're going into the document, you don't need to spend that much amount of the time what this could have been initially. Clear, guys? All of us?
Clear.
And if you cannot go to that particular documentation, just watch the recording. Okay. And do the implementation. That I have watched the recording. I'm pretty much brushed up what was taught last week. I've done 1 lab or 2 lab. What your trainer has covered, enough. You are ready for the next session. Clear, guys? All good? Guys, any further questions, any further queries before we go ahead and end our today's session, guys?
It's okay. And these documents will be transmitted to the WhatsApp group, no?
It will be, but
these slides, what?
Let me ask this thing, okay? When you say it's okay, right? I feel like that you have not have that much of the confidence. I just want to know, is it something that has been completely grasped or is it still there are a lot of unknowns?
No, there are a lot of unknowns for me. Okay. As I told you that because the people who are participating, they are already in the field, they are already in the industry, or they might have the same educational in IT.
Sajjad,
but I don't have
educational
background.
As you told me, I also repeated myself in that particular topic, right? I'm not in the hurry. Okay. My entire intention is that the person, see, people who are already learning, my training is for somebody who is new, that everybody from that particular page able to understand. So in this particular point of time, right, the topic, I'm not talking about the memory test, anything which you are not able to follow. That's my question.
So for example, you did a lot of things now, for example, domain and forest and all, domain controller.
For that.
So yeah, so that's why I have to go through all this.
Yeah, that is fine.
Yeah.
As I said
think it'll actually take us some more time to get familiarized with some of the terminologies, but the more time we spend, we'll be okay, I guess.
Okay, see guys, again, understand what I'm asking, okay? I'm not asking you whether you can do without that particular documentation, no. My question is that the topic that I have explained to you all, right, the implementation wise, each and every step and the explanation part, right? Have you faced any difficulty understanding it or the logical portion that why we are doing this, why we have done this, right? That step-by-step explanation part. Have you faced any difficulty understanding that? That is my question. Have you understood that?
I think the logic is sound here. It's just the context will take some more time for us. Like
Absolutely,
people like
guys.
you have never actually gotten,
Yeah.
seen a server screen at all.
Okay. Okay.
So it'll take us a
Okay.
little bit more time, but I think
Do
the
one thing.
logic flow is
Do one
very
thing, guys.
nice.
Invest time on the implementation directly.
Done.
Okay. Do the implementation, get comfortable with Azure. Because the thing is, the problem is not the explanation. The problem is the amount of the familiarity with the interface. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
The problem is not the learning. The problem is something that I'm not familiar with the interface, right? I need to look here and there in order to find that particular option. Okay. Be
Correct. It is
comfortable.
just context.
Context, right? Get to the portal, get the accessibility, do the implementation. Okay. Anything that
Sounds
gap
good.
will be there, redo the implementation. Okay. Get comfortable with the things. Okay.
Sure thing, bro.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Okay.
I have
All
one
right.
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rishabh.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank-
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
rest of
Can
your
you
day,
hear
guys.